Thank you all for being here today. It's a real pleasure to welcome you here on behalf of President Trump. And I think I speak for all of us when I say how blessed we are to have a leader like President Trump who doesn't back down, and you never have to wonder about what he's thinking. You know, as we gather this Constitution Day to reflect on our shared heritage, I'm reminded of a speech that Abraham Lincoln gave when he was a young man back in 1838 while reflecting on some of the same mob violence that we're seeing today. And he said, quote, "All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined, with all the treasure of the earth in their military chest, with a Bonaparte for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio or make a trek on the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years." The biggest danger we face, the young Lincoln went on to say, would not come from abroad. It would spring up from within. He said, "If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher." Today, America is facing a coordinated attack on her history, her institutions, and her heroes. Every sin from our past is highlighted and every triumph is buried. Some individuals seem only interested in burning down our country and dividing us on the basis of race, gender, class, faith, or numerous other variables. But that very history, as our forefathers understood, is what shapes our society's identity, and our identity is the spring from which we form our beliefs. By destroying those things, you create a blank slate from which to start anew, which is what some people want to do. What these individuals fail to realize is that as Americans, the things we share in common far outweigh our differences. We must keep in mind what unites us while resisting those voices which seek to destroy us. In order to prevail over our woes, we must seek a united resolution, not a Democrat resolution or a Republican resolution, but an American solution. This Constitution Day, we once again turn to the wisdom of the past to guide us in the present, and we continually draw upon the great figures of our history to elevate our minds, ennoble our souls, and inspire our deeds today. We are indeed fortunate to live in this nation, the destination country for so many others, the only place where people form caravans trying to get in here, not trying to get out. But we, the American people, in order to save this country, must recognize that we are not each other's enemies, and we must be weary of those who wish to fundamentally change us. We must always remember that our history is what gives us our identity, and our identity is upon which our beliefs are built. And if you destroy those things, you make it very easy to deceive people. We're not perfect, we don't have a perfect history, but wise people learn from the past. Unwise people try to bury the past. We get to decide which one we want to be. So thank you again, everyone, for gathering here today to bring attention to the history of this great American experiment. And thank you for all you do for our country and her people.
Thank you, Dr. Carson. What a splendid man he is. My name is Larry Arnn. I'm to moderate this panel. I work at Hillsdale College. This is a panel on the recovery of the history of our country, which is being distorted as an act of policy. And we have here several experts who know about the distortion and who know about the history. And we will proceed roughly from people talking about those distortions and other people talking about how to correct them and correct the history. I will say that it's America itself is at stake, and freedom is at stake, but also humanity is at stake in this argument. I'm teaching a course this term on totalitarian novels. And in the novel 1984, which is the grimmest of them, the protagonist has a job. Winston Smith is his name, and his job is to rewrite history. Every time the party changes its account of something, anything, contemporary or old, every written reference to it, in every book, and every article, and every encyclopedia, and every publication is corrected, and the old version is burned, and the whole thing is reprinted anew. And there must be an enormous effort. It's the main work of the regime of 1984. So he doesn't fully understand why they do that. But he learns in the end, in one of the most remarkable scenes in literature, where he has a dialogue with his torturer, O'Brien, while he's being tortured, about what he has to believe. He says, the slogan of the party, he who controls the present controls the past, and he who controls the past controls the future. The specific thing he has to believe is there's no reality. And that means that he has to learn to do doublethink, they call it, where things he remembers never happened. Everything can be wiped out, and if you think about it, the most we know about reality, we know about the past. Because the future is not here, and the present is fleeting and hard to observe, and the past is a record. That's what gave rise to Aristotle, echoed by Thomas Aquinas, saying, one of his most famous things, this alone is denied even to God, to make what has been not to have been. If there's any reality, the past is not malleable. The way we teach history in the schools today is a product of a centralized system that begins first in the elite universities and then in the schools of education, which are usually not so elite, and then down through bureaucracies that provide curriculum, and those start at the federal level and run down through the states. And so the view of American history is legislated, and then it's reflected in textbooks that are the choosing of which are led by the big states. And so students don't know. Here's a simple example. It's a common knowledge among young people today, because all the books said that Thomas Jefferson was a hypocrite because he wrote the Declaration of Independence and yet he was a slaveholder. And those are true things. He did do those things. But what they're not told is that he thought himself that the Declaration of Independence condemned the institution of slavery. He himself said beautifully, and things like this many times, but the most beautiful was, in the contest between the master and the slave, the Almighty has no attribute that can side with us. I tremble for my country when I think that God is just. I live in Michigan, which is part of the Northwest Territory, which is the first land added to the American Union. And that land came from Virginia, a slave state. And the moving force behind the gift to the federal government of that claim of Virginia to the West was Thomas Jefferson, a slaveholder. And in that gift of land, it was established in the Northwest Ordinance that there would never be any slavery in that part of the world. And sure enough, slavery was abolished in more than 60% of the Union in 40 years. So they don't learn that. And if they did learn that, it's not just true that it would open the way for them to love and understand their country better, it would also teach them to learn and understand things. Human things are like that, right? It's never perfect. It can't be. The great Lincoln says that the Declaration supplies a standard maxim for a free society, ever to be striven for, never to be perfectly attained. A soul that knows that growing up knows that life is going to be hard and have challenges, and they've got to try to do well, and they won't do perfectly any better than anybody else did in the past, but they could do well. What's at stake, finally, is the relationship between the Declaration of Independence and the constitutional forms by which the country is governed. The Declaration of Independence prescribes, under the laws of nature and of nature's God, And if that expression means anything, it means something eternal, or it means nothing. It prescribes a kind of government in which ultimately it rests on us. But you have to have forms and institutions to make that work. It's simple if you're Hitler. He passed an enabling act, and that meant whatever he says goes. But so there's a contest now for the being of the country and our understanding of reality. And I thank the White House for putting this together, and Vince Haley and the others who've worked on this. And I thank the President for his keen interest in this subject, which holds a promise for the future. Now, our panelists will begin with Dr. Mary Graber. She is a resident fellow at the Alexander Hamilton Institute for the Study of Western Civilization. And she's done many great things. She's written a dynamite book. I haven't read the book yet, but she's telling me about it this morning, and I've heard of it many times, called Debunking Howard Zinn, Exposing the Fake History That Turned a Generation Against America. Mary, where are you, Mary? There you are.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. Since 1980, when it was first published, Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States has been spreading the idea that the United States is irredeemably corrupt. This book is fake history, based on falsified evidence, misquotations with critical words left out, and plagiarized, disreputable sources. Yet, a record-breaking 3 million copies have been sold. Over 100,000 educators have signed up at the Zinn Education Project, and over 300,000 follow it on social media. It is widely used in advanced placement U.S. history high school classes and in teacher education programs. It is quoted in school books. In Portland, Oregon, and surrounding areas, for several years now, a young people's history has been used in all 8th grade classrooms. Zinn claims other historians have not told the truth about the atrocities committed by Columbus on down. People reading it cry and get angry, sometimes taking to the streets. The Zinn book was the most popular book for Occupy Wall Street protesters. Awards are given to organizers of Marxist groups in Zinn's name, and the Antifa member who tried to blow up an ICE detention facility left behind a manifesto saying, "Read Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States." This is not to say that every protester out there knocking down statues, burning buildings, or attacking police has been directly inspired by Zinn. But after 40 years of continuous publication, I think it's safe to say that Zinn's book has had some influence. Zinn's book is full of the ideas that are inspiring riots this year, such as, quote, systemic racism, wealth inequality, and police brutality. First, Zinn writes, "There is not a country in world history in which racism has been more important for so long a time as the United States." Zinn describes our founding in this way. Around 1776, certain important people in the English colonies found that by creating a nation, a symbol, a legal unity called the United States, they could take over land, profits, and political power from favorites of the British Empire. In the process, they could create a consensus of popular support for the rule of a new privileged leadership, end of quote. Zinn writes that the American, quote, system of government is so corrupt, neither the Civil War nor the Civil Rights Movement did much for Black Americans. Peaceful protest, civil rights laws, and voting in Zinn's book do not work. Police brutality, Zinn claims, is, quote, normal and endlessly repeated in the history of the country, coming randomly but persistently out of a racism deep in the institutions, the mind of the country. Zinn writes that the system, a phrase appearing 168 times in the book, was working hard by the late 60s and early 70s to stop the political and economic advance of Black Americans. This, in a nutshell, is the idea of systemic racism, that racism is built into the very fabric of our system of American institutions, and that positive change in our society cannot be realized through traditional liberal democratic measures like lawmaking, voting, or even peaceable assembly. The logic follows. The American system must be overthrown. That is what we are seeing in Portland, Rochester, Minneapolis, and cities across the USA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Brilliant. Peter Wood is the president of the National Association of Scholars. He's an anthropologist, and he's former provost of the King's College. There are two formers from there here today. He was a tenured member of the anthropology department at Boston University. He is the author of many books, including Diversity, The Invention of a Concept, which won the Caldwell Award for Leadership in Higher Education from the John Locke Foundation. He's a super guy. Where are you, Peter? How are we sitting? Yeah, right here. Go, Peter.
Well, the radicalization that we see in the streets of American cities and the radicalization of American college students look like two separate things. The first involves protests that often escalate into vandalism, looting, burning, attacks on police, and murder. The second involves protests that focus on shutting down the free expression of ideas, though these sometimes also devolve into vandalism and personal violence. So street protests and campus protests outwardly differ, but behind that appearance lie three important connections. The first is the people, the activists, who show up in both places. The second, the ideology that is crafted on campus and exported to the streets, particularly hatred of America and contempt for law. And third, the anger, that fiery emotion that is ignited on campus and intensified by the mob in the streets. When we put the street side elements together, activists trained as provocateurs, harboring a radical ideology, worked up into explosive anger, alienated from our cultural norms, and primed for lawlessness, we have the ingredients of a full-blown riot, of the sort that has wreaked a path of destruction from Lower Manhattan to Kenosha to the federal courthouse in Portland. Many of these riots appear to be planned, organized, staffed, and scheduled, often on a nightly basis for weeks on end. These are not, or at least they are not generally, spontaneous uprisings, but staged events managed by well-trained experts. They are made to look like impulsive outbursts of passion, but they run according to a well-rehearsed script. Who writes that script? The answer is fairly evident. It is the campus activists, some faculty as well as students, who have spent years immersed in anti-liberal ideology, identitarian indignation, and the study of Maoist tactics. They've been taught that gaining power by any means necessary is the legitimate path to what they think of as social justice, and they are eager to put what they've learned into practice. Only a fairly small minority of college students are converted to this whole package of radicalization, but these truly radicalized students are the organized managerial staff of the riots. Often they travel city to city, bringing their battle-tested riot planning with them and tying in with the local networks of Antifa and BLM. How complicit are colleges in this? A handful of professors teach outrageous courses and tweet appalling messages, but colleges work hard to convey the impression that they keep their hands clean. People who believe that image, I'm afraid, are mistaken. My organization, the National Association of Scholars, has spent a decade documenting how higher education has become the incubator of radical alienation, from divisive student orientations through service learning that doubles as progressive indoctrination, and above all, the courses promoting doctrines such as critical race theory that depict objective standards as the masks worn by oppressors. The old courses that taught students something meaningful about Western civilization and the American founding have simply vanished in the fire and smoke of the new Hate America First curriculum. Some students shrug all this off and move on to a productive adult life, but for too many others, it becomes a vocation. Even students who are immune to the lure of radicalism pay a price. They are deprived of the education they deserve, an education that teaches a full understanding of how our self-governing, prosperous, and free society came to be and what we must do to sustain it for the generations to come. This is a loss for those students and for our country, because if there's one thing that history teaches, it is that civilization does not simply endure on its own. Neglected or attacked outright, our civilization could quickly disappear. It is disappearing, and if we do nothing to stop it, it will disappear soon. The current wave of protest grew from the decades of efforts by the radical left to turn our colleges and universities into incubators of profound dissatisfaction with the American way of life. Colleges learned to package this disdain for America behind the beguiling rhetoric of diversity, but in too many cases, they left their graduates a legacy of cynical contempt for their own civilization, and in some cases, a proud delight in destruction for its own sake. Higher education shuns this verdict and sees itself as part of a noble enterprise of promoting positive systemic change. Those of us who cherish Western civilization need to hold higher education accountable for the systemic change it has actually accomplished in the form of the misguided people in the streets, some of whom have an Ivy League diploma in one hand and a Molotov cocktail in the other.
Thank you, Peter. Alan Gelso is one of the top historians of the Civil War ever. He has a PhD in history from the University of Pennsylvania. He's a senior research scholar in the Council of Humanities at Princeton University, where he directs an initiative on statesmanship and politics in the James Madison Program in American Ideals and Institutions. He's a senior fellow of the Claremont Institute and a visiting fellow of the Heritage Foundation and its Fulner Institute. He's written some great books, and I've read all of them but one. Abraham Lincoln, Redeemer President, Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, The End of Slavery in America, and Gettysburg, The Last Invasion. And all of those have won the Lincoln Prize, because who else would you give it to? Alan Gelso.
The story of most human societies has followed a more or less predictable pattern. It is the pattern of tribes. Sometimes of tribes establishing control over others by war or subversion, or of tribes breaking free of that control, and in both cases led by a charismatic leader whose reward is godlike power over all. These tribes identify themselves by language or ethnicity or soil, but their story is mostly the same. Us, not them. Power, not liberty. Stasis, not transformation. 244 years ago, from the intellectual milieu of the 18th century Enlightenment, one nation broke with this pattern, identifying itself by the natural and inalienable rights of all men has received not from some legendary leader, but from the Almighty Creator himself. 11 years later, this nation wrote a Republican instrument of government that turned all its attention to how those rights could best be secured. In a world of empires and monarchs and serfs, where men were born as an atom of dust and women as a straw in the wind, the American Republic would bid the atom of dust become a man, the straw in the wind a woman, and both were set free to make of themselves whatever they wished or dreamed or struggled to be. Yet this new republic has had its enemies. First, the monarchs, who were amused and then alarmed by it. Then the romantic ideologues, who found replacements for the comforting embrace of tribe in the lethal embrace of race and class. Through these challenges, our best protection has come through our history, through the remembrance of a great soldier who laid down his commission rather than seize power, of a shrewd lawyer whose hand freed slaves and wiped out the Republic's ugliest birthmark, of an enslaved man who lived to be the greatest example and the greatest preacher of self-made men, of an actor who bade the walls of tyrants come tumbling down. In truth, history has been our only protection, for we have no ethnicity, no tribe to fall back upon, only our vivid dedication to an Enlightenment ideal stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone. But our history is not in good health. Sometimes its illness is one of neglect. In our anxiety for dominance in science and technology, history has been nudged aside, so that in 2014, the National Assessment of Educational Progress showed that only 18% of American 8th graders could be considered proficient in U.S. history, while fully 1/3 do not know when the Civil War occurred, and 40% could not identify the words of the Gettysburg Address with Abraham Lincoln. Sometimes, however, our history's eclipse has had more malign sources, in those whose ideology leads them to cast the American experiment in as grim a shade as possible, so that the way can be made over the ruins of the Republic for some imagined new order, which, in the end, turns out to be only a new tribalism. Pick up the newest issues of our flagship historical quarterlies, and their contents will often be an unrelieved witches' Sabbath of condemnation of the American past and the improbability of an American future, of a revolution concocted to defend slavery, of capitalism which is coterminous with bondage, and with truth at the mercy of narrative, and never a thought to whether this will build up rather than tear down the souls of its readers. The ideologues are not unwise in crafting a strategy which tells us that our history is a balloon sent aloft to decoy us from the tracks of the powerful. If we wish to imperil the American experiment, we can find few more sinister paths to that peril than by forgetting, obscuring, or demeaning who we were. For that will tell the story of who we are and who we will become. History is not merely a trot line of metaphors to be analyzed purely as a construct of language. It is not a novel. It is about specific people in specific places within specific events, and to treat it otherwise is to entertain nonsense and to invite the production of despair and discouragement. But our energies cannot be consumed in merely pulling down the pullers down. Fellow citizens, Said Abraham Lincoln in 1862, "We cannot escape history. We of this Congress and this administration will be remembered in spite of ourselves. We must think anew and act anew, and then we shall save our country. Like Nehemiah of old, we must weep for the memory of a city in ruins, but we must also be those who say, as in Nehemiah's time, let us rise up and build again."
Thank you, Alan. I should have said that Alan is also an actor who never went into that line of work. Victoria Spiotto is a prodigy. She's a student and future teacher from Northern Virginia. She's finishing her 5th year at the University of Virginia. She has a bachelor's in French government and she's getting a master's in teaching. At school, she leads the Young Americans Freedom chapter. We have one of those at Hillsdale, and that may be the only place they don't cause trouble. She's also a polyglot who focuses her studies on elementary teaching and language immersion experiences abroad. Victoria.
My name is Victoria Spiotto, and I am a student at the University of Virginia. I love and appreciate my university, which is part of the problem, but also potentially part of the solution that I would like to discuss here today. The University of Virginia was founded by Thomas Jefferson, a man who is notable for his steadfast belief in individualism, natural freedom, and the full and free use of human intellect in the search for truth. Jefferson helped lay the foundation for a government under which every American could pursue happiness as a freely choosing individual. He founded an academic institution with the goal of fostering a community of lifelong learners, people who inquire about the world in search of truth. He hoped that UVA would strengthen this country by being a part of teaching its citizens the lessons of history. Most of all, Jefferson wanted Americans to study the history of liberty and how freedom can sometimes be pushed aside by tyranny. Jefferson's University still lives and fosters innovation and progress to this day. However, some of this academic progress we see in American academia and student culture today is rather regressive. Instead of freely exploring different points of view, which is what college is supposed to encourage, honest debate is sometimes shut down. Labels given for being on the wrong side are based on the simplistic binary of being good or bad as a person. This is harmful because it shrinks the marketplace of ideas on campus and it leaves little space for ideological nuance. In too many American universities today, administrators do not stand up to students who try to silence those with whom they disagree. In some courses, students rarely get a chance to even hear or consider the other side due to things like biased syllabi or agenda-driven professors. In a liberal education, all ideas should be studied, presented, and fairly debated. What's more, the new norm of rewriting or reframing history that now permeates into scores of campus cultures may play a role in endangering the very foundation upon which my university and our country stands, the legacy of the Founding Fathers. While embraced forms of critical theory suggest that it is best to view the world through the paradigm of power and physical characteristics, I believe and stand by the fact that truth stands alone and that we must not surrender our search for it. I do not believe that the principles of liberty and equality written by Thomas Jefferson into the Declaration of Independence are just lies used by the powerful to manipulate the public. Yet that is what critical theory teaches. But truth is not just a trick of the power. In fact, it is the foundation for American prosperity. We should not manipulate truth and history in order to superficially cater to a subjective and often offensive idea of diversity, which views people as only labels and sacrifices the natural individuality within those manufactured groups. As I've been studying and preparing to be a school teacher, I've encountered various ways in which critical theory wrongly finds its place within the field of teacher education. Many academic institutions plant these ideas, and professors and their students water and nourish them unchallenged. Critical theory stands against our founding principles, and above all, the place of equal individual liberty in our society. I do not believe that students should be treated differently because they fit in certain categories. I believe that students are empowered through their inherent value as creations of God. Universities like to portray and define what it means to be culturally aware in divisive ways. This involves manipulating language and reframing reality into something sensational. However, I think cultural awareness is best found by respecting, honoring, and objectively analyzing history. It is not a question of rewriting the past in order to perfect people now. It is a question of learning from foundational thinkers like Jefferson in order to ensure that government arms like public education are built such that they do not infringe on the nature of the young human mind. Just as we all solemnly remembered 9/11 last week, we must not forget the past. By forgetting, truth gets lent to authors before it is handed to our students. The founding, even with its flaws and hypocrisies, was an incredible experiment. Valiant thinkers dared to craft a form of government that respected natural law like never before. This should be viewed through the objective lens and remembered as a part of preserving our way of life. The trends in higher education's cancel culture are dangerous. To cancel the Founding Fathers for being hypocritical is to cancel the very ideas which lie at the basis of civility and individual liberty. The effort to delegitimize the minds and the people which crafted our founding documents is the first step in delegitimizing those very documents and therefore the founding principles. Canceling our history is not justice. It is in fact allowing those of influence or power to redesign justice. Principles like justice, fairness, and truth are principles that should not be redefined and packaged in critical theory's wrapping paper. This rewrapping seeks to foster disdain for the virtues and pillars that allow people to reach their individual potential without needing the government. The Constitution empowers us, especially us young students, to build our own destinies. By regarding our founding documents as sacred, we are inevitably recognizing that we as individuals are of value as well. My university's founder took it upon himself to courageously contribute to a world-changing project. By the same token, why shouldn't young Americans do the same by committing to historical integrity and objective truth at a time when that history is being wrongly reframed? Where the new woke campus culture claims to be unbiased and in support of an objective, non-discriminatory worldview, it actually creates the most selective and prejudiced system of them all, that of concentrated power. When it determines that everything is a question of power, they will use that power to silence others and reframe the truth of our past. Anyone who has read the world history that Thomas Jefferson wanted us to study will know that this is the path to tyranny. May universities continue to be places where great ideas, as opposed to grave injustices, are born. I hope that my reflections on the direction of our colleges and universities can make a positive contribution to the broader discussion we are having here today about our beloved American history. Thank you.
Prodigy indeed. Thank you, Victoria. So all of the speakers here have something to say about how to fix this problem. The next four are going to talk chiefly about that because they have big things going on aimed in that direction. And the first of them is the great Bill McClay. He's the Blankenship Chair in the History of Liberty at the University of Oklahoma, although I have inside information that he's soon to go to a fine place. All signed up. He was appointed in 2000. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was.
It was all right.
It
Yeah.
sounded a little like Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not going to that finest place
I
yet.
hope not yet.
He's appointed in 2002 to the National Council on the Humanities, the Advisory Board for the National Endowment for the Humanities. He's served as a senior scholar at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. And then the big thing. I have no friend who hasn't been intending to write a textbook of worth about the history of America. But I only have one who's done it. And it's recent, and it's great, and it's called Land of Hope, An Invitation to the Great American Story, Bill McClay.
Thank you, Dr. Arnn, and good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to be here. I'm going to talk about Abraham Lincoln, amazingly, but what I want to do is tell a story about him that I think illustrates a point that we can then expatiate on a little bit. We all know that Lincoln was a voracious reader, and he had very little formal education, got most of his sense of the English language from reading Shakespeare and the soaring language of the King James Bible. He read, evidently, almost no history in his early days. The sole exception that we know of was Mason Weems's biography written in 1799 of George Washington. It's a book few would read today, and certainly not for its accuracy. It is the book from which we get the fable about George Washington chopping down the cherry tree and then being unable to lie about it. The mature Lincoln went on to develop a more informed and sophisticated understanding of history, but he never forgot the Weems history. Elements of it stuck in his mind and influenced his view of the American Revolution and the Civil War and reflected his fundamental values. We know this because in February of 1861, 40 years after he read Weems's book, Lincoln drew upon it in public. He was on his way from Illinois to Washington for the inauguration. It was a time of great tension in the country. Southern states were voting one by one to secede from the Union in response to Lincoln's election. He stopped off in Trenton, New Jersey, on his way to Washington. And in a speech to the New Jersey State Senate, a very short, wonderful speech, he recalled the effect of Weems's book on him as a young man. And he particularly remembered the Battle of Trenton. I quote, "I remember all the accounts of the battlefield and struggles for the liberty of the country, and none fixed themselves on my imagination so deeply as the struggle here at Trenton, the pivotal battle." And I go on with Lincoln's language, which is much better than mine. "The crossing of the river, the contest with the Hessians, the great hardships endured at that time, all fixed themselves on my memory more than any single revolutionary event. I remember thinking then, boy even though I was, that there must have been something more than common that those men struggled for." And that something, he went on to say, was even more than national independence, something that held out a great promise to all the people of the world for all time to come. It was the perpetuation of the Union, the Constitution, and the liberties of the people in accordance with the original idea for which that struggle was made. Close quote. What a lot for a story to do. It helped to form a vision of the American past, a vision that was both inspiring and true, a vision that sustained him through the dark days to come, the last days of his life. Note, too, that although himself a fierce opponent of slavery, Lincoln did not focus on George Washington's history as a slave owner, even though he, of course, knew of it. He did not entertain the view, fashionable among Southern planters then and New York journalists now, that the nation was founded on slavery. No, he insisted, it was founded on other principles entirely, principles of liberty and equality and self-rule that were new in the world, as Allen Gelso has so eloquently stated. They were new in the world, principles that America was born to champion. He was right then, and he is right now. So what are we to conclude from this? Do historians need to retool and start writing Mason Weems-like histories? No, absolutely not. History has to be based on truth, not on myth. But we need to remember that one of the functions of history is to serve as an expression of our shared memory, imparting to each generation a sense of membership in its own society, a sense of living connection to its own past. We need that. We need that today more than ever. John Dos Passos wrote the following words in 1941, by the way. "In times of change and danger, when there's a quicksand of fear under men's reasoning, a sense of continuity with generations gone before can stretch like a lifeline across the scary present. That sense of continuity was something Lincoln could summon, something he possessed, something that strengthened him in enduring our nation's greatest trials. Our young people today deserve nothing less. We are failing them and our country so long as we fail to give them a rich and sustaining sense of their own past, a sense that's both truthful and inspiring. It's high time for that to change.
Thank you, Bill. I guess, in case you're wondering, the fine place he's going happens to be Hillsdale College. And it's a pretty good place. Theodore Rebarber is the CEO of AAT, an organization that just received a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to develop instructional units on American history organized around the book of Dr. Bill McClay. He's going to make it famous and make it used so it can be broken down to be of greatest benefit to students. Mr. Rebarber has worked on education reform and policy for 3 decades, co-founder and education officer of a charter school management company, senior staffer for a member of Congress, policy staff at the Department of Ed, research associate at the Vanderbilt Institute for Policy Studies. Theodore Rebarber.
Good afternoon. I'm deeply honored to be here and participate in this White House Conference on U.S. History in the presence of our founding documents. Today is Constitution Day. It is also Citizenship Day, on which we honor all those who have attained America's citizenship. Given that, I will take just a moment to acknowledge 2 brave subjects of the East Bloc communist regime of Romania, Sergio, also known as Israel, Antonia, also known as Miriam, my parents, who left all that they knew to take their 2 young sons, myself and my brother, at the age of 6, and legally emigrated to the United States. I am forever grateful to them. Immigrants who come to America from such places do not take this remarkable country for granted. We know it has flaws. Every country does. Yet we appreciate America and love it for its freedom, opportunity, and rule of law, its never-ending efforts to address problems and injustices, and the traditions and fundamental human decency of its people which make it all possible. The history we teach our children cannot solve all of our problems, nor should we expect it to, but it can provide a factual foundation for discussing current challenges and seeking solutions, while educating a new generation about America's remarkable heritage and what brings us together. Unfortunately, all too often, that is not the type of history we are providing our students. Others in this panel are discussing the deeply divisive misrepresentations of the 1619 Project, whose author has publicly admitted that accuracy was not her first priority. I will address the materials used in schools which have not formally adopted the 1619 effort, often assuming that these more mainstream instructional materials are safe and not prone to such problems. I will also describe history instructional materials that my new nonprofit organization, AAT, has begun developing to address these issues with an initial grant from the National Endowment for Humanities. In high school U.S. history, the most widely perceived gold standard is the College Board's AP U.S. History course. It often influences even non-AP U.S. history classes at the high school and even middle school levels. The AP U.S. History course framework unfortunately presents a distorted picture of U.S. history that is in some ways more dangerous due to its subtlety when compared to the 1619 Project. The casual reviewer is unlikely to notice what is not present. or patterns that only become clear when one analyzes the document as a whole. For example, the main AP US History course framework refers to property 5 times, of which 4 are in a negative context of restricting the right to vote based on property requirements. The only reference to legal protections for property rights, a more positive context, refers to the Northwest Ordinance, a relatively obscure reference to most non-historians. Nothing is included on constitutional protections for fundamental property rights, such as the prohibition on government taking a person's property without just compensation, or protections for inventions or other intellectual property. Stepping back and considering our current social context, if property has been presented to students mostly as an example of historical injustice, what does this suggest to students about the need to respect the private property of others? In the case of religion, with few exceptions, the references are vague formulations about divergent views or new beliefs. There's nothing explicit referencing the Bible or Jews or Judaism. The few references to Christianity or Christians in the framework are mostly negative, including as a cause of the conquest of the New World and participants in colonizing and exploiting native populations and Africans. But no mention is made of Christianity's history as a driving motivation behind the abolition of slavery, nor about its motivation for charitable social activity or the civil rights movement. No mention is made of the common use of biblical quotations and beliefs in political pamphlets during the Revolutionary period. For example, Thomas Paine's Common Sense has an extended section discussing biblical sections on Judges and Samuel. The Constitutional Convention is framed through the lens or thematic focus of an event fostered by social and political groups. While that was certainly a critical element, it leaves out the impact of brilliant individual founders, great men who could sometimes rise above merely representing the interests of different factions. The only substantive historical developments of the Constitutional Convention identified as required course content are compromises over the representation of slave states in Congress and the role of the federal government in regulating slavery and the slave trade. Similarly, the entire topic of the Constitution itself is covered in half a page. The required course content is captured by a single sentence description of the historical developments represented by the Constitution. Quite a few other topics described in the course framework receive more extensive and specific coverage than the Constitution. AAT, my organization, a nonprofit, is committed to developing history instruction materials that are accurate, that tell the whole story. That includes America's faults, but it also includes its remarkable accomplishments. We have partnered with nationally recognized historian and fellow panel member, Bill McClay, who has authored an absolutely outstanding, readable, and overall positive U.S. history textbook, Land of Hope, that we believe is the best available. We will work with Bill, along with other excellent historians and educators we've identified, to develop instructional units that provide teachers with detailed instructional support, presentation materials, assignments, assessments, how to handle diverse student skill levels, and everything else they might need. The units will include a strong emphasis on students engaging with core original documents, including the Constitution and Declaration, to develop a basic mastery of these works. Students will learn to analyze, discuss, write short and longer historical analyses and papers. We believe that many parents, educators, and other interested citizens share our concern about the quality of history education and want something better. We appreciate that the NEH has provided us with a grant that allows us to begin this work, but the full effort will require citizens who agree that this is an enormous need to work with us, to also visit our website and find out more about this initiative. And that website is aateducation.org. aateducation.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Jackson is the director of the Institute for Classical Education, and he's the chief academic officer of a network of charter schools called Great Hearts. And I think there must be close to 30 of those now.
32.
32. Yeah, see, they're just bursting at the seams. And they're a great thing. I happen to know a little about them. Before he did that, he was a professor of English and education at the King's College in New York, and he spent many years training future teachers in educational history and philosophy. He knows what he's doing. Dr. Robert Jackson.
Thank you, Dr. Arnn. It is a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon on behalf of those 32 schools and more than 22,000 students. I want to speak just for a few moments about the nature of teaching American history and why it is so important. It is, in fact, a civic duty as we teach American history, one that should be undertaken with great care and a profound sense of gratitude. For it is a national story that has been entrusted to us. By faithfully transmitting that story to the young, we are giving shape to the minds and the hearts of the next generation. Consider the following examples. When an elementary-aged child hears the story of our first president's farewell address, that child learns to recognize the nature of personal integrity embodied in the life of George Washington. When a middle schooler learns that Thomas Jefferson drafted the original Declaration of Independence with a section designed to abolish slavery, though Jefferson was a slave owner, that young person learns to recognize the limitations of our most admirable founders. Or when a high schooler reads Frederick Douglass's stirring 1852 speech, "What to the slave is the 4th of July?" that teenager learns to recognize the former slave's appeal to divine justice, an argument that critiques existing human laws by holding them accountable to a higher law. In each case, teaching our history well prepares the next generation to understand our people's virtues and limitations, to interpret American ideals in relation to the institutions and the reality of human fallibility, and to distinguish arguments that can sustain our pursuit of a more perfect union. That is what makes American history such a vital subject. On this Constitution Day 2020, surrounded by original manuscripts here in the Rotunda, it is fitting for us to reflect on why we must teach American history wisely. It serves as a source of inspiration for all, but especially the young who deserve an opportunity to claim their constitutional birthright, a legacy enshrined in the Constitution and proclaimed in the Declaration, what Frederick Douglass called that glorious liberty document. It is the ongoing pursuit of liberty that makes American history such a hopeful subject. Yet for several decades, the teaching of American history has been weighed down with ideological baggage, from an academic world suffused with skepticism and devoted to debunking the errors of the past. This disconcerting trend in scholarship has also encouraged the popular press to depict history as a simplified morality tale, wherein contemporary categories are applied to historical events to expose the failings of our forebears. While the study of history does indeed provide opportunities to learn from the past and its errors, there is something deeper, more disturbing beneath this academic orientation, which prefers theory and ideology over the discovery of truth. The conscientious study of history offers us rich veins of truth to explore our common humanity. Are we not, after all, susceptible to the same weaknesses as those we read of in the history books? Certainly, we are prone to greed, anger, and pride, that which we see in our ancestors. But we are also capable of their generosity, patience, and humility. In the pages of a well-written history, like that of Wilfred Maclay's Land of Hope, we discover flesh and blood people struggling with real problems, dealing with their limitations, and striving to make something good out of it all. That is a better way to teach American history, for it begins with humility and continues with hard work. Carefully weighing the record, going straight to the sources, to understand how real people learn to live out their ideals. Amid the challenges, the quandaries, even the oppression of their times, if we want to learn from the annals of history, we must submit ourselves to the truth, whatever the cost, and search unfailingly for the good. Thankfully, we discover that we are not alone in the quest to produce a more just society. Surrounded by a cloud of witnesses from nearly 250 years, we are inspired by the ideals and the examples of those who've gone before us. And that is why we read the farewell of George Washington, to let grade schoolers hear the statement's final official words, that the free Constitution, which is the work of your hands, may be sacredly maintained. And we read Thomas Jefferson's original draft of the Declaration, letting those middle schoolers see for themselves that even the most enlightened minds may not fully perceive the moral demands of the truth. Then we read Frederick Douglass's 1852 speech, letting the high schoolers experience the rhetorical powers of a great man whose words have the piercing moral clarity of a prophet's. By teaching our nation's history with such equanimity, we provide the young with the tools of thought and expression to equip them for active citizenship. We teach them to accurately read the record for themselves. We teach them to interpret impartially the mixture of problems, purposes, and motives from the past. And we teach them to understand that our present moment is informed by and built upon the accomplishments of our predecessors. Like the Great Arts Academies, which I represent, K-12 classical schools across the country consider the teaching of history to be the backdrop for the entire liberal arts curriculum, a product of the collective wisdom of the ages. Poets, scientists, statesmen, and mathematicians joins historians in a great conversation that continues down to the present. By engaging with the prudent voices from our past, students come to more fully understand the human experience in all of its variety across time. Ultimately, the history we recount gives shape to the lives we lead. And for Americans, our nation's past provides the inspiration and the ideals to continue that quest for liberty, which is our constitutional birthright. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Our final speaker is Jordan Adams. After that, we'll have a few minutes for discussion. Jordan is a graduate of Hillsdale College, which means I think of him as being 18 years old. But he's grown into a man, and I feel old. He's the Associate Director of Instructional Resources at Hillsdale College and has served as a high school history teacher and director of the history program for our public charter school network at Hillsdale College. And he's a bright boy, though maybe not as smart as his wife. Jordan Adams.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. My name is Jordan Adams. I have taught history and government to middle and high school students for several years, and now I work for Hillsdale College, training and advising history teachers in public schools that Hillsdale supports across the country. As part of my job, I have been privileged to observe history teachers at work in hundreds of classrooms. My own experience as a history teacher and my time observing and advising so many other history teachers has deepened my understanding of what makes for a great history curriculum and for great history instruction. What I have learned above all is that mediocre teaching is easy, but great teaching is one of the toughest jobs in America. Teaching is a labor of love, and great teachers have a love for two things. First, their students, and second, their subject matter. Because they desire the good for both their students and their nation, great history teachers work tirelessly to share their love of American history with their students. Many of today's young Americans have never encountered this love for America's story. Cynical, deconstructionist, cherry-picking histories, such as those of Howard Zinn and the magazine articles of the 1619 Project, have neither love for America's story nor its students uppermost in mind. Instead, they pursue absurdly simplistic explanations like class struggle and systemic racism. Such concepts blind them to the fuller truths of America's history, the richer realities of our past, and they use these simplistic theories as tools to tear down their country, manipulate their students, or both. Nor do these historians love their students in a way that truly serves them. They do not respect their students' independence as free thinkers who are capable of grappling with the complexity of historical reality and forming their own judgments about it. They do not respect the inherent human dignity of each student, just as they do not see the dignity and humanity, the mixture of good and bad that America's heroes and all great historical figures have possessed. Instead, they rob their students of their heritage, of their birthright, of their ability to understand accurately the origins of the world in which they live. In a sense, these skeptical historians rob students of their inheritance. They rob them of heroes to honor and be inspired by, from whose mistakes they might learn. They deprive their students of the joy of learning in a dynamic, honest, and imaginatively rich classroom. They rob their students of profound opportunities to learn from previous generations the path to maturity and happiness. Nearly 2 years ago, I came across a review copy of Bill McClay's Land of Hope. Taking it in after having read parts of dozens of other histories was like hearing an instrument suddenly come into tune. What I found in Land of Hope was the same thing I had seen transform students' lives in successful history classes: a love of country and of the students themselves. Land of Hope strikes a chord, and that chord blends the complex truths of America's history with the most inspiring way of teaching. To begin with, Land of Hope tells a story, which is the etymology of the word history. While most textbooks strike readers as tiresome encyclopedias that drain the drama out of history, McClay's work conveys an actual story. Land of Hope is something like a compelling personal biography of an entire nation. It captures students' imaginations and transports them to another time and place. McClay respects the dignity of the student. He does not pander, withhold, skew, or otherwise seek to manipulate the student's understanding. Instead, he presents a truthful story in its fullness and intricacies, then asks his readers to reflect on it. He feeds the students' hunger for knowledge with full lives of real people. He doesn't grab attention solely with scandal and outrage as Zinn or 1619 might do. That is the easy way out, a way that kills off a student's natural sense of wonder, and more often than not turns molehills into mountains. Finally, Dr. McClay conveys respect for those who came before us, those who shaped the world into which we and our students have been born. He knows that no one is perfect, just as no one is without some measure of goodness. He presents America's heroes as they were and asks students to judge them based on the totality of their words and deeds, rather than the scandalous few. McClay wants students to applaud and preserve what is good in our history and our heroes. Yet he also bids us condemn the bad while learning from the ways in which our country and its heroes have fallen short. It is, of course, imperative that students come to understand what makes America exceptional. There is no precedent in the history of humankind for a nation founded on ideas of individual liberty, equality, and a capacity for self-government. There is no precedent for a people working, fighting, and dying to prove the truths of those ideas. That a nation built around these ideas should become the freest and most prosperous nation ever to have existed is no accident and is never more than a single generation of corrupted education away from extinction. America's founders rightly reminded us that the ultimate determinant of our success as a nation would be our ability to sustain a virtuous and well-educated citizenry. The dangerous state of American history education today is about to prove our founders right yet again. Restoring the true teaching of American history would give our young people and our nation a fighting chance to turn the tide, preserving their American inheritance for another generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. So we have about 20 minutes for some discussion. We have a hard stop because some important person is going to come here next. And I'd like to begin by saying, Dr. Carson, would you like to say anything, having heard all that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank fellow panelists for some very provocative thoughts. Sometimes you feel like a voice crying in the wilderness alone, but the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people here who are thinking about and observing the things that are going on in our country. And it's very appropriate that we're here in this building that contains the Constitution of the United States. And I believe that that's a divinely inspired document and something that really need not be tampered with. It has allowed us to ascend from a bunch of ragtag militiamen to the most powerful empire in the world in a record period of time. But part of the way that our nation was put together was recognizing what the important foundational elements were. There is only one business that is protected by our Constitution, and that is the media. And there's a reason that the media was protected. It's because they were supposed to be honest brokers of the truth and disseminate information to the people, because the country was supposed to be run on the will of the people, not become a government-centric area. We're going to have to stop and think, was that the right pathway? There are many who think that it wasn't, and that in fact we should be government-centric. And there are many who have tried that in the past. It has not worked. And it's going to require incredible courage at this stage of the game. People must be willing to stand up for what they believe in. We have to realize that we are being, as a society, manipulated by people who have an agenda. And you can't fight people with an agenda unless you have one also, unless you have a plan, and unless you understand them. Unless you understand that in our colleges and universities, and even on the streets, there are those who are bent on convincing certain segments of our population that they are victims, and that someone is causing all the problems in their lives, and that there will be no justice until you're able to destroy those people. And then another group, you want to convince them that they should be guilty because they and their ancestors are responsible for all the bad things that have happened to others. And let me tell you, that is a terrible combination, victimhood and guilt. The decisions that arise from that are abominable, and we're seeing them now. So we clearly have to understand what is happening and begin to fashion a response that is easy for people to understand. I think that is our mission.
I think the panelists deserve a round of applause. So I have a few questions for you. Peter, You talked about a lot of terrible trends. Are there good trends in the academy?
They're hard to spot. We've heard of some of them here today. I'm heartened by the rise of charter schools and classical academies that are bringing real history to tens of thousands, if not millions, of American students. I'm heartened by Bill McClay's textbook and the good reception that has come for it. In a strange way, I'm heartened by the financial challenges that now face much of American higher education, which has grown complacent in its progressive orthodoxy over the last 50 years or so, and now may have to rethink where they can find students willing to pay high tuitions to attend schools of indoctrination. That just might persuade them to take another look at what they're actually teaching and how they're teaching it. It's true that I spent my few minutes talking about some of the dire circumstances of the situation that faces our cities, our country as a whole, and its connection to education. But from where I sit in my job as the head of a reform-minded organization, the American people seem to be awakening to this problem as never before. The fact that we are called here to Washington to talk about this is something new. It hasn't happened in my lifetime. This is an extraordinary event that this panel is occurring, because up until just the last few months, there has been so little sense in this country that education is anything but a utilitarian good, that as long as it's producing people who can go out and get jobs, it's doing its rightful work. And that whole aspect of education that produces enlightened minds and patriots and people who care about how best to govern the country has been a very diminished chord of our national conversation until now, and I'm heartened by that.
Thank you. Alan, you're going to write some more great books? And are others that you know of going to do it?
Well, is that a question or a
Yeah,
statement?
that was a command, but you can comment on it if you want to.
Well, there are many subjects that fall within the range of the study of American history. I mean, in a real sense, everything which happened until just about right this moment is a fit subject for the study of American history. I think there are some encouraging developments in the writing of some significant works, not the least of which is Bill's Land of Hope. I see it also in some other places, in, curiously enough, some movies. One doesn't often look to the movies for getting particularly reliable history, and yet there have been some very encouraging ones. I think of the 2012 Spielberg Lincoln. And there was a movie which was an affirmation, not only of Lincoln, but of the entire process of democratic deliberation moving towards the abolition of slavery. So there are these indications, and yet on the ground, the overall picture is not an encouraging one. If it were, I wouldn't be here today. We deal and have to deal with history education at the level of K through 12 schools, and there the battle is often won over school boards and the people who are able to make deals with the school boards. The Zinn Project is an example of this, but the great success of the Zinn Project really has very little to do with Howard Zinn being a compelling historian, much less a compelling writer, but it has a great deal to do with the way his material has been packaged, developed, sold, and in many respects snuck under the door, not only of unsuspecting parents, but in many cases unsuspecting teachers. There has to be some reflection now on how we are administering education, on what is going into the substance of that, how it's happening at K through 12, how it's happening in graduate schools, and how it is happening in our colleges and universities. There are ways to deal with this. Most of them are going to be indirect, but then again, indirection was how the problem began in the first place. So there are good indications, but the situation is a serious one and not by any stretch of the imagination to be underestimated, one to be addressed at a variety of levels, at the federal level, at the state level, at the municipal level, and at the level of each one of us who have families and children. In Henry V, in that great speech that Shakespeare puts into the mouth of King Henry V, he speaks about those who remember what happened on St. Crispin's Day. We often fail to notice this key line: "This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day until the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered." Note that. The good man will teach his son. The good parent will teach their children. If we begin there, then the work of renewal, I think, will spread outwards like ripples in the pond.
Pretty. So there's policy issues at stake here in what we've talked about on this panel. And there are two lines of approach that have been on both sides of the aisle in politics. And one line is centralize the standards, and the other line is decentralize the administration of the schools. And the greatest example of that, the most successful, is charter schools. Robert Jackson, why are those better, and what's the future for them?
Well, I believe that the benefit of charter schools is that a community orients around a common understanding of the education they wish to provide for their children. And while the state makes this arrangement with the charter governing board, there's room or there's freedom to organize around a curricular and a pedagogical set of principles. So the schools that I represent are a part of something that's much larger. There are more than 200 charter schools that identify themselves as classical, and of course there are thousands of charter schools nationwide whose arrangement with the state, whose contract, provides, again, the freedom to identify the essential content and the pedagogy that that community has determined is best for their children. As I look at the policy landscape, we need more of that freedom, and the families that are coming to schools like ours are exercising their right. They're exercising, of course, their choice to have the type of education that they desire for their children. And I think that families and something of a grassroots movement is now emerging to show that the status quo we've been describing here in this conference is no longer satisfactory. And given some of the movement that we're seeing around classical and within the charter sector more broadly, I think it's very important for us to be able to make a case, just as has been described here at the table, for alternatives, specifically alternatives that recover both a true and equanimous reading of history, a real balanced sense of history, but even more broadly than that, a full exposition of liberal arts education that has in many ways been sidelined by the ideological trends that we've described here.
Thank you. So we have one more. Sorry, Victoria, I'm commanded not. So that same point is latent in this. The way you write a textbook for high schools in America, for the public schools, is you go through an enormous process with a big publisher, and there are 1,000 requirements, and every line has to be subjected to them, and they change all the time. How'd you write your book, Bill?
I didn't do any of that, and I really owe that to that privilege, that freedom to my publisher, Encounter Books, run by Roger Kimball, and he just sort of turned me loose. I wrote a fairly brief proposal with a chapter outline, and he turned me loose. I took a little longer than he would have liked to produce it, but he just periodically checked in on me, how you doing? I did not have to run the text through any committees, any interest groups, any stakeholders or stake bearers. It was just me up in my attic every night tapping it out. I didn't have a research assistant. I didn't take a leave of absence. It was just something I did because I felt passionately that such a book should exist. And I didn't know whether I was the one to do it, but just sometimes you have to, it falls to you because nobody else is doing it. So that's why I did it. But the freedom that you're describing stems from the willingness of this publisher. I mean, a number of people asked me, why did you publish with Norton or one of the other? And I said, because the book that would have come out would not have been my book. It would have been a product. It would have been like something written by a committee, which frankly is what most textbooks are. You see on the cover a list of very distinguished names, which may have had some role in the writing of the textbook, maybe not much. But the book that comes out reflects this sausage-making process that Dr. Arndt has described. And I just did it the old-fashioned way, just one person. And it reflects, you will definitely, when you read it, as I trust you all will do, you'll sense that there is an author, there's a person behind this. And I think that is a much better way to relate history than to kind of give the impression that history is the voice of God or the voice of some kind of objectivity beyond the peculiarities and idiosyncrasies of an individual person. But I think we have to have, several allusions have been made to cancel culture. Victoria said some things about it. I think it's very important that we have institutions and publishers that are willing to publish things that might encounter some. I haven't encountered a lot of trouble, or any trouble really, but that's going to be very important. Have those venues, have those institutions out there functioning.
Thank you. So we're out of time. I'm actually going to bring it to a close 3 minutes before I'm told I had to, because they're nervous back there. But I'll just say this to close. Education is what we have to say to the future. It's what we believe when we tell our young. And right now is a time for choosing. There have been times when the main political forces in both parties were friendly to education reform and decentralization. This is not such a time. So we have some big decisions to make in the next few weeks. Thank you all for being here, and thank the panelists.
They were visiting with Charlie Kirk and Fox News contributor, obviously Salem Radio Network syndicated show.
And did we get that one? And a $5 donation who said, have you seen that CBS News used a picture of a Trump rally and said it was a Biden rally? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah. Well, my first thought, yes, I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about. My first thought is you're too stupid to even like crop out the MAGA hoodie or the MAGA hat. It's like in the corner and it's clearly a Trump event. So yeah, that editor or producer just didn't care. But could have been a good thing. Maybe there's like a secret conservative working over there and they wanted to slide it in on purpose. Maybe they're not so stupid after all. But I don't even think they would possibly get any photos similar to that because there's absolutely no enthusiasm for Joe Biden. I mean, I have never seen anything like it. I cannot believe that what they elected to be their candidate is literally everything they say they hate and they stand against. An old, rich white man who has had over 40 years in politics and doesn't have a single thing to say for that. Ew. Speechless, can y'all tell? We have some people. Hello, Arctic Pharaoh. And let's see what else we have. Johnston Cody. Diane Rappert said, ooh, Patriot Mobile. I like Diane. Check it out. Please let me know. You guys, these partners really help us to allow to get to these rallies, to the rallies when the donations aren't enough sometimes. We do have to get these partners. And you checking them out allows for us to continue as well. So it's also just a way for you to, I mean, all of you are going to, if not 99%, are going to have a cell phone network anyways. So why not check this one out? It's not like it's something you don't need. I think everyone needs a cell phone. 1 second. Okay. Jumping onto Twitter, let's see. I'm just going to continue panning the crowds for a moment. All right, jumping straight back into the YouTube Super Chat. Looks like we have $5 from Carmela and a new member, Chris G. Welcome to our YouTube. We also have $4.99 who said the Gambino family gives all its support to Trump. And Shirley Dillman became a member as well, so thank you very much. Jessica Engel as well. And let's see, you guys are absolutely killing it today. A couple more. I want Trump to come to Indiana again, Carmela said. Me too. I miss Indiana. Who is the blonde? I don't know. All right, you guys. I am... Couple quick reminders, and then I'll jump into our website donations. We are almost entirely viewer donation based, meaning we rely on your donations to keep us in business. We occasionally have partners at some of the rallies, and we're very fortunate to be able to work with companies whose ideals really align with a lot of ours and our goals. So when that just doesn't cut it, we need your donations now more than ever. It is so imperative that we are able to get to every single rally, no matter how insane these travel logistics are getting, especially this week. I'm telling you, we have Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and North Carolina, all between now and Monday. So if you want to pray for me, do that, and then you can donate. Okay, so you can go to our website. That's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. Those are going to help us get those travel bills up and going. You can also send a check to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. There's a number of ways. If donating financially is just not an option right now, that's completely fine. We get it. There's so many other ways you can do it that are free. So whether it be liking our stream, commenting, subscribing, making sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube, please. We'd really appreciate that. And those are some ways you can support us. I'll be going over them throughout the rest of today's rally and different events. But for those who are asking now, there you have it. What is on my phone? It's a picture of my face blown up. We got to get that off. I really don't know how to get my face off my phone. Yeah, that's scary. All right, bear with me. Technical difficulties. Highly technical. Okay, I'm just going to keep working on that while we pan the crowds. Okay, sorry you guys. Thanks for bearing with me. My phone just totally spazzed out for a little bit, so I wanted to be able to get back to the YouTube super chat and talk with y'all. So if you have questions, again, we are live from Mosinee, Wisconsin. This is Right Side Broadcasting Network, where President Trump is scheduled to take the stage at 8 p.m. So in the meantime, you get to hang out with me. I want to answer questions. My goal is to make it as though you're as close to being here as humanly possible. They've got some light music going on. It's completely different. Normally at this point, I can't even hear myself thinking. So the music's very low today, but the weather is absolutely beautiful. Lots of flags behind the podium. And the Make America Great Again signs are out. Lots of red. You see red t-shirts, red MAGA hats, and some people wearing Trump masks. Looks like almost everyone the VIP areas are already full. So it's going to be a great day. Definitely a packed house. President Trump, no doubt, is going to love this. It is a little different in today's setup. So the media is inside the hangar and all of the supporters are outside of it. I feel a little disconnected compared to how I usually am. They're normally along our sides, behind us. Maybe it's a safety concern to keep the press separate, but today I'm curious. I don't think so, but was that Nick Sandman by chance? Viewers, let me know. The camera wasn't on it, I guess. There's a group of kids. It could just be a similar face. Let's see. Let's jump into our super chat, which is actually really interesting. So the fact that I use RSBN every single day doesn't play any factor in my searches because it does not pull up for me, but the Diamond and Silk one will at least, but I need the RSBN one. That shows you how completely censored our search results are. I know we're live. I'm doing that broadcasting right now, and I can't even find it. So that's cool. We love that for big tech and conservative censorship. That's awesome. Okay, I'm seeing what Joe just had on the screen. Great graphic, Josie. Looks like we have Bemidji, Minnesota on Friday, Fayetteville, North Carolina Saturday, Swanton, Ohio Monday, Vandalia, Ohio Monday, and Moon Township, Pennsylvania on Tuesday. There we go. Now we have all the dates right. Very cool. Another $20 from Tom Reeves. Thank you very much. Hi, John Douglas. Thank you. And Nordine Talibi. Thank you very much. Valiant Life donated $4.99. So thank you for your donation. I'm going to jump into the donations account, if it'll let me, and see if we have any in there that I can read out. Looks like we do. So Stephen Pendleton donated and said, the question that every voter should ask before casting their ballot is, what would Kamala do? Vicky Rennie donated and said the Trump train is now the hypersonic scramjet. Woohoo. Rich Rocco donated and said keep fighting the good fight to make America great again. Donna Ozturk said thank you for broadcasting Trump rallies, peaceful protest, while the other major media doesn't broadcast on TV, except on occasion C-SPAN. God bless you all, and again, a huge and appreciated thank you. Mike Hewitt donated and said 4 more years, Donald J. Trump. Judy Brown said love a smart businessman running our country. Whoopee. Louis Giannopoulos donated and said God bless President Trump and America. David Matoski said Trump by a landslide. Carolyn Beek said thank you for allowing our president. I have watched him through you from the very beginning. Go Trump 2020. From Lee, Trump 2020, and from a Chinese immigrant, Democratic and its affiliated media are increasingly becoming almost the same as Chinese Communist Party and its government-controlled mouthpiece, all of which need to be taken down. We have no better chance and choice than President Donald J. Trump. Brian and Debbie Kelso donated and said, this is the most important election in decades. This is for freedom or Marxism, law and order, or anarchy. May God forgive our sins as a nation and continue to bless the United States of America. So those are, I think we're just about caught up on donations. Looks like we have, okay, we have some more, so perfect. And if you guys are curious about how to get a read or a shout out, what I'm doing right now is reading the donations that have come through via our website. That's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. Again, that's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. You will be able to go to that website, make a donation. You'll have the option to send a message if you'd like to have it read out loud, and we'd be happy to do that for you. Michael Kruger said, thank you so much for what you do. I really appreciate your efforts in covering our president with no interruptions during the events. Keep it up. We have Kevin Redrick, who said Trump 2020 banned Democrats. Chev Ramirez said hi from Illinois. Patricia said Latinas in Hawaii for Trump 2020. No too foolish liberal leftists. I love watching RSBN. Derek Cusack said Irish Americans for Trump. Daniel Lee said I love you. Showing support from United Kingdom. Cherry Roberts said vote red in person. Okay, now we are officially caught up on the donation emails. I am going to get a quick sip of water, and I will be right back.
Okay, while we're waiting for Liz, welcome back here to the Right Side Studio in Auburn, Alabama. In case you haven't heard, we're going to be really busy coming up. We have 6 rallies in the next, I believe, 5 days. So we're going to be in Minnesota tomorrow. We're going to be in North Carolina Saturday. On Monday, we're going to be in Ohio for 2, and then on Tuesday in Pennsylvania. And we only expect this to continue. So we're having some issues right now with scheduling. I'm working frantically behind the scenes trying to get travel booked. I don't even know if I have enough personnel to make it work or not. So if you're a cameraman, if you have any experience at all, and you would like to possibly join the team, you can send your resume to jobs@rsbn.tv. And of course, please donate, because trying to make this work is very difficult here, but we're going to do our best. So expect more of the same between now and Election Day. I warned you it was going to happen. I hope you're ready for it. This is what we have to do to get President Trump elected.
being patient. I was just also pulling up an article I wanted to share with you guys. It goes over a lot of details regarding this week in particular and his campaign stop to Wisconsin particularly. So this is going to be from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. President Trump will sweep into central Wisconsin at 8 p.m. tonight as part of his plan to appear repeatedly in a state he narrowly won 4 years ago. Trump was last in Wisconsin 2 weeks ago when he visited Kenosha after a police shooting, looting, and killing of 2 protesters. 2 weeks before that, he was in Oshkosh, and his vice president, Mike Pence, recently made 2 stops in Wisconsin in 8 days and is returning next week. And the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., spoke at a hotel in nearby Rothschild on Tuesday. Now Trump is holding a rally at an airport hangar near Wausau, this same place he visited 2 years ago as he tried to boost the U.S. Senate campaign of Leah Vukmir and the re-election bid of then-Governor Scott Walker. Walker and Vukmir lost 2 weeks later. The 7th Congressional District in central and northern Wisconsin, which includes Mosinee and Rothschild, is a stronghold for the president after he won the heavily Republican district by 20 points in 2016. Whether his all-in approach in Wisconsin will work this time is unclear. A poll released Wednesday by the Washington Post and ABC News found Democrat Joe Biden leading Trump 52% to 46% among likely voters in Wisconsin. The results were within the poll's margin of error and was a survey last week by Marquette University Law School that found Biden, again, leading Trump 47% to 43%. Trump, for a time, backed away from his signature rallies because of the coronavirus pandemic, but has embraced them anew as he pursues his re-election bid. In addition to his Wisconsin stop Thursday, Trump is planning on holding rallies Friday in Bemidji, Minnesota, and Saturday in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Trump on Sunday held an indoor rally in suburban Las Vegas where many of the attendees, did not wear masks. In Mosinee, much of the crowd will be outside, but some will be inside the open hangar. If the setup is the same as it was 2 years ago, Wisconsin requires those who are indoor to wear masks. And that's interesting, so that's why only the media is inside. Literally everyone else is outside the hangar. I don't love it. I want them around me. About 90,000 people in Wisconsin have tested positive for coronavirus, and cases have spiked recently in the state, particularly on college campuses. Nationally, nearly 200,000 people have died from the illness. Okay, as you guys know, I'm just reading this article. The president has put his focus in recent weeks on the looting and arson in Kenosha and elsewhere that erupted over the treatment of black people by police. During his visit to Kenosha, Trump toured buildings that had been burned down and talked about the need to clamp down on riots. The unrest emerged after police officer Rustin Chesky shot Jacob Blake from behind. In Kenosha, Trump praised officers but said some of them sometimes choke when they make split-second decisions. Dairy farming has been in crisis in Wisconsin in recent years. Farmers have had to contend with low prices and trade wars that have triggered a wave of bankruptcies. The state lost 213 dairy farms in the first half of 2020, which was far fewer than the first 6 months of 2019. All right, you can literally hear people just chanting already behind us, getting super excited as we get closer and closer to President Trump's arrival. You can see the private security in here. I'm trying to figure out, they just like to cheer and chant. They're super excited. It shows a lot of their enthusiasm, and this is going to be a good crowd. President Trump, I love when he loves the crowds, and I can just tell when I know it's going to be good for him. There are certain rallies where it's low energy or a low turnout, but this one in particular is going to be fantastic. I know it, and they are just smiling from ear to ear, ready to see their president. Again, we can likely bet that we will be back in Wisconsin in sometime within the next 50 days, I believe. So I won't mind it. I think it's so beautiful here. I absolutely love it. Thank you for everyone who's wished us welcome to Wisconsin. It's been nice so far. Unfortunately, we get to leave early in the morning. We're headed out to Green Bay and flying to Charlotte, and then driving, I think, 2.5 hours to Fayetteville, North Carolina. So there's a lot going on this week. It's very stressful, but we're, again, so excited to be able to be in this position. We do need to ask for your help now more than ever. We have less than 2 months left, and it is going to be the fight of our lives. So if you are willing, keep in mind RSBN does almost every single rally. We broadcast it to hundreds of millions of people, and we do rely on your donations to get us from rally to rally. We are not a mainstream media network. A lot of people get confused for that because our streams are better than them, but we're actually not. We're a very small group of people that work. Each person does the job of 10. It's pretty phenomenal. Just a really well-oiled machine out here. But your dollars, we stretch them as far as we possibly can to just allow us to get to as many places as possible. So there's a number of ways you can donate. The first one is by clicking the dollar sign on the bottom right-hand corner of the YouTube Super Chat. The second one is by going to our website. That's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. Again, that's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. The third way is a non-electronic form, and with that you can send a check to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. Whew. All of that completely memorized. Moderators also, if I said it too fast, the moderators can drop those addresses down below. And I'm going to check in to see who's getting their donations in so I can get some shout outs read out. We really appreciate it. 18,000 people watching right now. Thanks, you guys. Let's take some guess. How many people do you think are going to tune in to watch President Trump today? It's been steadily around 100,000, on average, congruently at one time on YouTube. So hopefully we can be around that.
I'm Charles Benson. President Trump in central Wisconsin, a key place that helped him win Wisconsin in 2016. We're live at 10 o'clock. Take 2, 3, 2, 1. I'm Charles Benson, President Trump, 3, 2, 1. I'm Charles Benson, President Trump in central Wisconsin, a key place that helped him win in 2016. Coming up at 10, what he had to say. 3, 2, 1. I'm Charles Benson, President Trump in central Wisconsin, a key place for him in 2016. Coming up, what he's telling Wisconsin voters.
And we have a couple more donations that have come through, so I want to say thank you to Scuba Steve for his $5 donation, a $50 donation to, is my audio on? Okay, a $50 donation from You Truck Wreck, so thank you very much. We have a new member, Beautiful Bliss, thank you very much, and I love that name. And another, Nancy Moore donated 2020 and said, "Hey again, Liz. This is the most important election of our lifetime. Comes down to good versus evil. Devil versus God. Must vote in person. Love RSBN. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Nancy. Good to hear from you again. We have $20 from Christine Holzuk, who said, "Thank you, RSBN. Trump 2020. Say no to Biden, Hayden, and the communist agenda." Also $49.99 from U.S. Marine 3. The Gambino family gives all its support for President Trump. With all that being said, I wanted to take a quick moment again and remind you guys of our partners today over at Patriot Mobile. They're absolutely incredible. I want to share their message a little bit more with you guys. Every single day, we're seeing more and more shocking videos being released of anarchists threatening innocent people, destroying businesses, and even shooting the police. If you saw the one out in Los Angeles the other day, it's absolutely awful. This anarchy comes because the money just keeps flowing in for them, much of it from big corporations like Verizon. Did you know that Verizon actually donated $10 million to a myriad of social justice organizations, including Al Sharpton's National Action Network? Patriot Mobile wants you to know that you have a chance to make a choice. Get the same reliable nationwide service and support a company that loves America, shares your values, and supports our police. Switching is easy. Keep your phone number, bring your own phone, or buy a new one. Go to patriotmobile.com/RSBN and get free activation plus a special gift with the offer code RSBN, or call their U.S.-based customer service team at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Veterans and first responders save even more, so check with them right now. You guys just call, get a quote. You will be astonished at how much you can save for working with Patriot Mobile, especially knowing the fact that they just give to different organizations, conservative organizations that align with the same values a lot of us have. It's a much better place to spend your money than one of the main carriers like Verizon. Again, that's patriotmobile.com/RSBN, patriotmobile.com/RSBN, or call 972-PATRIOT. Get a quote today. Thank you for listening. Again, Patriot Mobile, thank you for being our partner today. We're excited to be here, and we thank you for that. I'm going to turn around and check out what's going on behind me, get a good view. Looks like people are getting a little bit more compact here down on the other side of the barriers. We'll check the weather for you guys too. "55 degrees right now, so it's not too bad. I'm sure being from up north, they're probably used to it. It's a bit chilly for me, but it's not so bad. I'm going to hop on to Twitter and see if we have any questions there. And my next spot will be the YouTube Super Chat and the donations. So if you get your website donations and your YouTube Super Chat donations in right now, I'll be giving those shout outs in just a moment. Sorry, my phone is not working today. She decided to be difficult at this rally, which is wonderful. We don't have a teleprompter or anything like that. We go by the seat of our hats. We use real news as it comes through. We love when Donald Trump tweets his whereabouts. We like to update you guys with those. And I have to be able to get on my Twitter to find that. So bear with me while I fix a few things. All right, we have $5 from Amarji Sani. We have Sechin, who donated 10. And we have Tammy Meski, who donated as well. Matthew Kalisco donated, so thank you, Matthew. Damaso Flores Jr. and Paul Mariani said President Trump slams the far left's destruction of American history during speech celebrating Constitution Day. J.W. DeLuca became a new member, so thank you for joining, J.W. DeLuca. And Rex Mariner, same for you. One Adam 12 said go Trump, hashtag MAGA 2020. We have Mark Coleman, who donated $20 and $50 from U Truck Wreck. Lots of those. Awesome. I think I'm all caught up in the YouTube Super Chat. Unless you want to get a donation in right now, I have it open. I'm watching it. I am waiting to see them come in. So let me know if you're wanting to do a donation right now. I'm reading all of the chat. Hello, Mary Hart, Mike Pierce, Salty Grampy, Rebecca Gable, Heartbreaker, Tyler Durden, Big John. We have $5 from Q Sue 2006, who said, love Right Side Broadcasting. Thank you for all you do for our country. We have Sandra Van Lankville. And the man, also Gavin Atkinson, said Trump. MAGA Rick said re-elect King Trump. So many of y'all are having fun in the chat room today. Rex Mariners donated and said proud supporter of RSBN. Thank you, Rex. We're happy to have you here. All right, babes. I am going to, it looks like we have a $10 donation. Jean Brown, great day to MAGA Trump. All right, that rounds those out. I'm going to hop on over to our website donations and give some shout outs there. We have one from Jenny Smith, who said, thank you for broadcasting these. I love seeing notifications of these events going live. Can't count on the pathetic mainstream media. They have shown that they are total traitors to America. Keep up the great work, RSBN. Where we go one, we go all. From Nelson Marquez. Randy Wallen said, keep up the great work, RSBN. Great job, Liz. Thank you. Shimmy Bus said, God bless Donald J. Trump for 4 more years in the White House and keep us safe from these terrible Democrats. Mickey Flynn said, I love RSBN. I've been watching it since 2016. You're the only one I can count on to show every time our great president speaks. Thank you so much. Douglas Kelly said, as the mother of 3 boys, we want to thank Donald J. Trump for his exceptional service to our country. We need a song. We need a strong, like-minded president to lead us into the next 4 years. Trump 2020 all the way. Nora Fiovid donated, as well as Mixon for Katy, Texas, who said Trump 2020. Janine Guerrero said, we pray for you every day, President Trump. Latino women for Trump. I am a walkaway Democrat, and I fully support you and your vision now. Luis Paricio said, may God bless President Trump. Dory Hahn said, Trump 2020. Julie Higginbottom said, thank you, Mr. President, for all your hard work and dedication. I pray every day for you and this family. This country needs you at this time. You and only you can make America great again. She donated and said, please wear a mask. Every vote counts. Layla donated and said, we should vote in person to make sure our great vote counts. MAGA all the way. God bless our president. Amanda Kelly donated and said, as a mother of 3 boys, we are so grateful for his service the past 4 years and look forward to 4 more. I want my children to start their lives with a strong government and strong sense of patriotism. Trump 2020. Dan James donated and said, brain dead Biden has no chance. Love right side rally coverage with Liz and love President Trump. Hashtag LGBTQ for President Trump. Hashtag LGBTQ for Trump. Thank you. John Ader said, I'm so pretty, but John Ader is prettier. MAGA. Okay. Awesome. I would never say that, though. But anyways, Amit Muni said, fate of the Western civilization is at stake. President Trump is the only one in the entire world fighting against the communist carnage. If Biden wins, Kamala, Obama, and Hillary would take over, and there would be no conservative president for generations. Even if President Trump wins, they plan to steal a legal coup and nonstop violence. Please be prepared for what we have in the next few weeks ahead of us. God bless my president. God bless this country. We have another donation from Judy Height, who said, God bless Trump. Keep fighting for us. And Faye Cortez said, thanks a lot, RSBN, for the way you do it. William Nugent said, hi, Liz. Hi. Right here. Hi, Mary. From Right Side Broadcasting Network. Okay. Okay. All right, so hi to Mary. We wanted to say hello. They've been chanting your name, but it was hard to hear over my talking. So you have some supporters to Aunt Mary out there. Hopefully you're able to hear this. Michelle Nicholson said, I love our great President Trump. He is fighting against the evil Dems and globalists. Please support our president. Vote red, straight ticket, in person. My friends, Right Side, thank you for your great work. We have Tim Rutan, who said, go Trump. And Jeff Sullivan said, White House Conference on American History today. Trump remarks, must Google and listen. Liz, thank you for your info. I missed you and Magnificence in Minden, Nevada, but I made the rally. Margie Miranda said, thank you so much for all your hard work. Fantastic reporting. Margie from Seabrook, Texas. Jerry Rodriguez said, thank you for fighting and sharing the message of hope. God bless all of you. Sam Goda said, love seeing you out here. Great to have you doing what you do. Keep it up. Judy Elder said, love this president more and more every day, doing more to make America great again at home and abroad, bringing our troops home to their families, getting out of useless wars, draining the swamp. He definitely deserves a Nobel Prize for peace. How many presidents promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem? Lip service. President Trump did it. Pray for President Trump. Psalm 35. Gary White said, go Trump Pence 2020. Ted Connolly said, you are the true future of journalism. Rimfire 2020 said, thank you, Liz and RSBN, for the great coverage. Rimfire 2020 for Trump 2020. Vote conservative. James Rakowski said, just want to say you're tough and have thick skin to endure the fight you've been fighting. We all love you, Trump. Thank you for fighting for America 4 more years and more. Renee said, thank you, Patriots, for Right Side Trump 2020. Danny Salerno said, thank you for everything you do. Susan Parrish said, go Trump 2020. Gilmore Agatip said, keep up the good work. May God bless you for all the things you do for our beloved president and GOP cause. Bida said, Bida MKC. James Johnson said, Trump 2020, and thank you for your coverage. Paul Galushkin said, we came from Ukraine to run from socialism and communism. My grandparents went to prison for preaching the Bible. We cannot allow the Democrats to win and turn this nation into a socialistic USSR. We pray and hope Trump wins this November. Please let us know if there will be any events in California. There is so much support for our president here. Mainstream media will never show this. Whew. A lot of donations, you guys. Thank you for supporting Right Side Broadcasting Network, and it's always exciting and interesting to hear about our fellow patriots out in California. Hopefully he will make at least one campaign stop out there. I don't think it's a useless cause. I think eventually California could become, if anything, a purple state, possibly flipping red. I was seeing today, I think Ben Shapiro and the Daily Caller are moving their headquarters out of Los Angeles, and they're moving to Nashville, Tennessee, because they are just over the California crazy bureaucracy. So if a lot of things keep up like that, they're going to have to change some things. They can't keep losing people like that. I'm going to check and see if we have any updates. We have some pool reports. Marine One touchdown at Joint Base Andrews at 6:50 p.m. That's going to be Eastern time. It was steadily raining there, so POTUS was carrying a black umbrella, and he disembarked as he walked to Air Force One. He entered Air Force One at 6:58, so that's roughly 20 minutes ago. He was joined by Hope Hicks, Dan Scavino, Mark Meadows, and Kayleigh McEnany, who were spotted on the plane. They're taking off momentarily for Mosinee, Wisconsin, so hopefully we will be seeing them shortly. And we have some more donations coming in. You guys are absolutely killing it. Jenny Smith donated and said, thank you for your broadcasting these. I love seeing notifications of these events going live. Can't count on the pathetic mainstream media. They have shown that they are total traitors to America. Ted Connolly said, you are the true future of journalism. Thank you. I think we're up to date on those. Going to jump back into the YouTube super chat and see what you guys are talking about. Hopefully I can answer any questions you might have. Looks like we have a couple more donations here. Rodolfo Izquierdo, $10, $4.99 from Michael Passy. We have 20 Canadian dollars. Greetings from Montreal, Trump 2020. Thank you, very cool. Reckless 3589 said, marry me, and donated 10 Canadian dollars. All right, man, let's do it. Sherry Brown is now a member, so thank you for joining. We have R. Sharp, who said, take the red pill and walk away. California flipped a Golden State back to red. I'd love to see that happen, and I think it's going to happen sooner than later based on how crazy things have gotten out there. Jeffrey Stearns said San Diego for Trump. And Carrie O'Neill is now a new member. So we have 21,000 people waiting and watching for President Trump. Eventually, he will be... You guys are funny. I'm reading all the chats. All right, so it is 6:20. Keep in mind, everything I say is going to be in local Central Time. President Trump is going to take the steps at 8 p.m., so we have an hour and 40 minutes hanging out with me, showing you the crowds, answering questions, doing some donation hits, and just saying thank you for those who have donated. It's getting even chillier by the day, but we're excited to be here. I'm going to turn around and see kind of what's going on behind me. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed seeing us pan the crowds a good bit. It's a really pretty setup, the way they have the flags behind President Trump's podium. It's a good amount of media news here today. Nothing insane, but it's pretty normal. Lots of hats as usual. It's a really great crowd. They have been lined up again for over 2 days. Some of them camped out for 2 days to make sure they got a front row spot, which is absolutely remarkable, just insane. I don't think I could do it, honestly, but more power to them. So hopefully they're up there somewhere with a really good spot. Again, we actually have a better amount of media here than we did in Las Vegas, Nevada rally. So I think that goes to say something. Maybe there's a lot of support here in Wisconsin. Again, it was a very narrow win, but I think he should be able to nail it down again. Wisconsin seems to love Trump. We have some people holding signs. Lots of people are turned around with their signs. They want to make sure that the media shows them. Some may not, but of course we will. We'd be happy to. Women for Trump, I'm glad you like your new emojis. EDH Alter said, please ask your cameraman to pan over to the right bleachers. I've got some family members in the stands right now. Love your guys' work. All right, EDH, which ones are they? We're gonna try and find them. We're here for this. This is a mission at this point. So if we're looking at the stage, it's on the right. $5 from Joe, who said, make California red again. ZZ Top said, Liz Willis versus Kaylee McEnany. Who would you choose? Dang, I would choose Kaylee, so I don't even want that to be that's not even a fair fight. I would protect her at all costs. She's a national treasure. Ricky Johnson said, greetings from New York. Thank you so much. I miss New York. Hopefully things are going fine over there, if not better than they were before. South Carolina loves Trump, says Livia May. Ola from Leslie Mack. Turtle Power wants to remind you to vote in person. Thank you, Modi. Wisconsin for Trump. Signs going up everywhere. Ella Sony said, how do you donate? That's a great question. Keep in mind, RSBN is almost entirely viewer funded, meaning we rely on your donations to continue being a business. The first way you can donate is by clicking the $sign. It's going to be in the bottom right-hand corner of the YouTube Super Chat. It's a lot of fun. Your name gets popped up in the live chat, the same place that you just commented. The second way you can donate is via our website. If you go to our website, that's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. That'll take you straight to a donation page. It is very easy to use, and you can decide if you want to send a message for me to read out loud. I check those as well. The third way you can donate, this is a non-electronic way, is by sending a check. So you can send a check to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. Those are three of the main ways you can donate. Something else I want to remind you about, another way to help support us is by supporting those that we partner with. And today we have the honor of partnering with Patriot Mobile. Every single day lately, we've seen more and more shocking videos of anarchists threatening innocent people, destroying businesses, and even shooting police. This anarchy continues because the money keeps flowing in. Much of that money comes from big corporations like Verizon. Did you know that Verizon donated $10 million to a myriad of social justice organizations, including Al Sharpton's National Action Network? Patriot Mobile wants you to know that you have a choice in this. Get the same reliable nationwide service and support a company that loves America, shares your values, and supports our police. Switching is easy. Keep your phone number, bring your own phone, or buy a new one. Go to patriotmobile.com/RSBN and get free activation, plus a special gift with the offer code RSBN. Or call their U.S.-based customer service team at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Veterans and first responders save even more, so make sure you mention that at checkout to get your quote. PatriotMobile.com/RSBN. Again, that's PatriotMobile.com/RSBN or 972-PATRIOT. Go ahead and give them a call. See what you're missing out on. These people are wonderful, and they are using the exact same cell towers that your Verizon phones already are. So we just want to make sure you know you have options out there when it comes to cellular networks. Check them out. Let us know what you think. The crowd is currently chanting 4 more years. A favorite crowd chant. Lately, my favorite one is We Love Trump, and that's been going on at the past 3 rallies or so. So I think it's really sweet. The first time President Trump heard it, he said, or this was the second time he's heard it, he said, you guys have to stop or I might start crying. I am going to take a quick water break again, so bear with me for just a second. In the meantime, make sure you get those super chats in because I'm going to be going on a super chat spree, and I'm going to make sure that every single person who gets their super chat donation in right now will get a shout out. So have fun, and Trump 2020, baby.
It's a great night to be here. Let's get the show on the road. What do you say? Yeah. Before we start with the prayer, pledge, and anthem, I just want to say, she's not here, but I want to my mother, Virgil Tiffany. Yeah. Okay, folks, what I'd like to start with here tonight, if you would join us in prayer, Yao Yang, Pastor Yao Yang is with us tonight. Pastor, if you would come forward, we'd love to have you lead us in prayer this evening. Please remove your hats if you will.
Good evening, Wisconsin. As a refugee, Iraqi war veteran, director of the Joseph Project, and pastor of the Cross Church, it is a great honor to be at this wonderful event with such a wonderful group of patriots. With that, let us bow our heads and pray together, please. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight with a spirit of humility, knowing, Lord, that you are so loving and merciful to all of us. Lord, we praise your name on high and exalt you. We thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon our great land. Tonight, as we gather here in your presence, O God, we lift up our community, state, nation, and the world to you, Lord. Please bring unity unto our nation by uniting all of our hearts together. We ask that you heal our land from the devastation that this pandemic has brought upon us. Please be with our law enforcement officers and military who serve and protect our country selflessly each and every day. Please be with our economy so that everyone will be able to put food on the tables for their families. Keep our nation safe from those who hate the fact that we have a country that guarantees all people freedom and liberty. Be with our precious children so that they will get the best education, for these will be the future leaders of our great country. Most importantly, for tonight, Father, we ask that you please bless our President, Donald J. Trump, as he continues to lead our nation forward, so that as a country, we may draw closer to you, Jesus. God, please bless the greatest nation the world has ever known, the great U.S. of A. And all of God's children said, Amen.
Freedom and liberty. Yes. Next, here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance is Sean McCarthy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you for your service to our community. And next, for our national anthem, we have Jenny Thiel that is going to join us. Jenny, come on up, and let's sing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets roared galore, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
How's that for the national anthem? Folks, I just been out in Washington, D.C. for a little over 100 days. Thank you so much for giving me the honor to be able to represent you out in our nation's capital. And I'm here to report back that the House of Representatives of the Congress of the United States is doing very little. Under the leadership of Speaker Nancy Pelosi. So, in those 100 days, what we've seen with her, what I've seen of her agenda, it's defund, dismantle, and destroy. Defunding the police, they think that's a good thing to do. And by the way, if you take a look at the national media tonight, you may see Speaker Pelosi taking a little different approach to respecting our law enforcement, because the people across this country are telling them you need to treat the police with respect and dignity. And she wants to dismantle our economy. She talks about that. You've probably seen the $3 trillion bill that she's been tossing out there over the last month or so. It's just a liberal wish list. And actually even more extreme than that, it's a socialist wish list with stuff like the Green New Deal, which if you go to Kamala Harris's California, you'll see it right now. There ain't nothing green about it. It's all black and brown with California being burned down as we see it. That's what they want for the rest of the United States of America. We're not going to let it happen, are we? And they want to destroy our way of life. And folks, we saw it right here in Wisconsin just a couple months ago. Think about the State Street riots. How many of you have been down to State Street since they had the riots? Think of all those businesses. I used to walk up and down there. When I was a legislator, I'd walk up and down State Street in the evening just to enjoy the ambiance. They destroyed it. And Democrats from Madison and our governor allowed it to happen. And they followed up the State Street riots by tearing down two of the cultural monuments that are icons that speak to who we are as Wisconsinites. Hans Christian Heg, I watched by that statue dozens and dozens of times when I walked into the state capitol. There was that beautiful monument, a Norwegian immigrant who gave his life at Chickamauga to preserve the Union and end slavery. And they tore it down. And on top of that, they tore down Lady Forward, the monument that speaks to Wisconsin being the first state to allow women to vote, to ratify women's suffrage, and they tore that down too. They don't care. They're just anarchists, looters, and rioters, aren't they? So, what we need to do here with the House of Representatives, here on November 3rd across the country, including in the 3rd Congressional District here in Wisconsin, let's skip the wash with Nancy and let's have a blowout for Republicans. What do you say to that? So I ask all of you that are Republicans, but not just Republicans, those of you who are libertarians, those of you that are independents, and there's Democrats here too, because I've been getting messages from them. I want you to join our movement here in the final days leading up to this election, where we reject, defund, dismantle, destroy, and we restore, rebuild, and renew America. Because we're making a commitment to America. We announced this week what our agenda is as we go into the final 50 days. You know it's liberty, freedom, and things like that. But we refer to it as the commitment to America. We're going to restore our way of life. We're going to defeat the virus. This virus that's been going around our country, we're going to defeat it. We're going to protect your religious freedom. And we're going to defend the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. And we will always, always protect the unborn. So we restore, we're going to rebuild the economy. We're going to bring our supply chains back from China. With medicines, critical technologies, and things like that. We need to produce them here in America. That's a country that's hostile to the rest of the world. They're fine people in China, but they have a horrible government, the communist government that governs them. And we're going to bring that supply chain back to America to rebuild America. And all you men and women that build the infrastructure here in America, we're going to continue to rebuild America's infrastructure. And finally, we're going to renew the American dream. What is the American dream? Freedom. We're going to renew the American dream, where every child can get a good education, regardless of zip code, where they can get a good education, where we take care of our veterans. Those that have served overseas, we take care of our veterans. So tell your friends, why should you vote Republican on November 3rd? Renew, restore, rebuild America. And I also want you to tell your friends There's a big difference between these two presidential candidates. On January 31st, the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, said to China, you no longer are allowed to send people here to America. When you've had that virus that comes from Wuhan, China, you no longer get to send it to our shores. Who was the first person to criticize him? Joe Biden. It took Joe Biden a month and a half before he realized exactly what Donald Trump did on January 31st and did. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. Joe Biden was not there. And how do you like peace breaking out in the Middle East? Moves our embassy to Jerusalem, and Joe Biden and John Kerry are saying, oh, you're going to destabilize the Middle East. What's happened? We see peace breaking out in the Middle East. And rather than doing like Barack Obama and Joe Biden did, when they sent suitcases of cash to Iran, $2 billion, money that was used by Soleimani to target our troops over in the Middle East, President Trump took care of Soleimani and Iran. By the way, never forget, Joe Biden advised President Barack Obama to not take out Osama bin Laden. Do you want him as a leader of the free world? No. We got a president who is bringing peace to the world. And here's the third big difference. Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they thought 2% growth was a terrific thing after the recession of a decade ago. I think you could probably call that an average Joe economy. Nothing against you guys named Joe. Sleepy Joe. Donald Trump said 2% growth is not good enough. We can do better in America, and we have, haven't we? And we need to return this president back for 4 more years. Because he will rebuild the economy of the United States of America. We've got 1 minute. So whether you're Republican, a Libertarian, a Conservative, a Moderate, an Independent, or a Democrat, I want you to join us Republicans this year. And I want you to tell your friends why you're voting Republican. And you should be so proud to do it. In the 1850s, the abolitionist movement had a meeting in Ripon, Wisconsin. And that is where our party started to end slavery. We're the ones that formed a party to end slavery. We were the party that elected Abraham Lincoln, who preserved the Union and ended slavery. And you should hold your head up proud and vote Republican on November 3rd. Four more years. Without further ado, the man that I succeeded, that ended 40 years of misery here in northern Wisconsin when he was elected in 2010, my good friend, Sean Duffy. Give him hell.
Has Tom Tiffany not been crushing it?
and really, really big shoes to fill. I'm kidding. Hey, you know what? It's so great to be here. I wasn't sure if I'm at a professional sporting event or a Trump rally, but all you there, national anthem, hands over your hearts, hats off. That's how America does the national anthem. Awesome job. One quick question before we get going. Is Trump going to win Wisconsin? One more time, is Trump going to win Wisconsin? All right. I'm just trying to blow some time here because I'm waiting for my teleprompter to come up like Joe Biden. Do you guys see Joe Biden did an interview with a high school kid on Zoom. And he had the questions in advance and read them off a teleprompter. He did a late night TV show, had the questions in advance as well. So you can read them off the teleprompter. I mean, how is this guy going to go into a debate with Donald Trump, right? That's going to be fun, isn't it? Joe Biden and no teleprompter up against President Trump. It's been great. Sleepy Joe. It will be fun. But hey, are Trump rallies not fun? So, have you guys seen like the boat rallies? Boat rallies? You guys seen the car rallies, right? And rallies like this? Trump supporters are having a blast. We have fun. We're happy warriors. Now, have you seen Biden supporters? They're angry. They're mean. They're negative, right? They're kneeling, right? Thank you, Kevin. They kneel. And so think back a couple months ago. Remember in Seattle they had that autonomous zone? I think it was CHOP or Chaz, right? And one of the Democrats were asked about it, and they said, this is just the start of the summer of love, right? The summer of love. I don't know. I haven't seen much love from those lefties. We've seen them riot. We've seen them burn our businesses. We've seen them attack our police officers. We've seen them intimidate poor people who are sitting out having a beer and a burger on a street, right? And then that summer of love, it came to Kenosha, right? And the people of Kenosha, they were begging our lame governor to come in and stop the violence, right? I mean, Kenosha looked like Syria. By the way, I want to make one quick point. The congressman of Kenosha is here, Brian Stile. Brian, thank you for being here in Wausau. He's been crushing it. He called the president and said, you got to come, Mr. President. He was calling out Evers. Done a great job in Kenosha. Thank you, Brian Stile. You're the best. But Evers was dithering, right? And he sent finally in the National Guard. He sent them in late and didn't send enough. And then finally Donald Trump was like, ask me for help. I'll send in the National Guard and we'll fix the violence. And that's exactly what happened. Trump got in, violence ended. Then the president, he came to Kenosha. He was there to console her citizens, right? And then he said, you know what? I promise that we're going to rebuild Kenosha. And our president did that because he loves Kenosha. President Trump loves Wisconsin. President Trump loves America, right? He's going to rebuild it. Because Donald Trump's dreams are made in America. And Joe Biden's dreams are made where? In China. China Joe, that's right. And Joe said, listen, I'm going to fight to bring all those jobs back from China. The very jobs that he actually sent to China. Remember when Barack Obama and Joe Biden were saying, Donald Trump saying he's going to bring manufacturing back to Wisconsin. There's no way he can do that. Does he have a magic wand? Remember that? And Trump said, listen, I got grit. I got patriotism. I'm going to renegotiate your stupid trade deals. And guess what happened? In 3.5 years, 400,000 new manufacturing jobs in America with President Trump. His little magic wand. By the way, Joe Biden and Barack Obama lost 200,000 jobs. You know, I don't know if you guys follow social media, but I'm sick of these elites on social media, the elites in Hollywood, the elites with liberal media. They think they get to pick our president. If you guys are looking for Air Force One, it's still about an hour away, okay? Chill out. Unless you're looking for Delta One coming through. Doesn't look anything like Air Force One, I promise you. I just checked. Someone called and said, how do you say Mozani? I'm like, Mozani. Right? But these liberals, they think they're going to pick our president. And we know that we, the voters, we get to pick our president, right? And we know this next election is going to come right through central Wisconsin. We're going to pick our next president. So I got to wrap up here. They're going to pull me off the stage. But I bet some of you kind of noticed this today. But as I got on stage, did you guys know that I got a haircut today? I did. Actually, I did. I got a haircut. And it always makes me think of old Fancy Nancy from a couple weeks ago, right? Remember, so California has a rule that says hair salons have to be closed. And old Fancy Nancy doesn't follow the rules, and she goes to the salon, right, to get her hair done. And they also have a mandate in California that you have to wear a mask. I don't know what saloon she's in, but Fancy Nancy didn't have a mask on, and she was caught red-handed, wasn't she? Yeah, and she had the audacity to actually blame the salon owner, right? She said it was a setup. A setup. I guess I don't know, I got to agree, maybe it was a setup, because she called the day before and set up her appointment to get her hair done at the salon. I look at President Trump. What president can bring back college football, huh? The Badgers are going to play. And we have one of my favorite pictures of our president is the one where he's hugging our flag, supporting our flag, right? He understands that we in America, we kneel to God and we stand for our flag. I've said this before, but I want you to know that there is no cavalry coming over the hill to save America. There is no cavalry. You are the cavalry. If we are going to save America, it's going to be each and every one of you that in the next, 52 days until Election Day, go out there and do the work. You have to talk to your friends and your family members and your co-workers. You have to volunteer because freedom and liberty is on the line. If we lose, the commies are going to win, right? We can't have that. And if we want to restore the American dream, we have to elect Donald Trump. If we want to bring back the great American economy, we have to elect Donald Trump. If we want to bring back patriotism and civics, we have to what? That's right. And if we want to continue to make America great, we all have to get out there and do our work and make sure Donald Trump gets 4 more years. God bless everybody. Let's go win this one.
Broadcasting Network. I'm Liz Willis. I'm your host for this evening's event. That was a bit close. But hopefully you guys just enjoyed the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem, the pre-speakers who are here to get the crowd hyped up and warmed up before President Trump. It has drastically decreased in temperatures. I am very cold now, but hopefully they're all staying down. They're warm together. We had a lot of donations coming via the website, so I want to jump into that in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to our partners today. Our partners have been wonderful. They are Patriot Mobile. Some of you may remember them from before. We actually used to use only their phones as hotspots at some of these networks. So we absolutely highly recommend using Patriot Mobile. I mean, if you've been watching the news, you'll know that every single day we see more and more shootings and shocking video of anarchists threatening innocent people, destroying businesses, and even shooting the police. There's a reason why all of this is happening, and that's because the money for them keeps flowing in, much of it from big corporations like Verizon. Did you know that Verizon donated $10 million to a myriad scheme of social justice organizations, including Al Sharpton's National Action Network? It's honestly unbelievable. Patriot Mobile wants you to know that you have a choice in this. Get the same reliable network service and support a company that loves America, shares your values, and supports our police. Switching is easy. Keep your phone number, bring your phone, or buy a new one. Go to patriotmobile.com/RSBN and get free activation, plus a special gift with the offer code RSBN, or call their U.S.-based customer service team at 972-PATRIOT. Again, that's 972-PATRIOT. Don't forget that veterans and first responders save even more, so make sure to ask what your quote would be at checkout. Let them know what you are. patriotmobile.com/RSBN. Again, that's patriotmobile.com/RSBN. They're incredible. I've used their phones before, and I think you guys should check them out. I think you'll really enjoy checking out everything they do and the different organizations that they support with their money. So check them out over at patriotmobile.com/RSBN. We are fixing the lighting on the cameras now. It's kind of hard when you're inside a hangar and the sun is all coming from the back of it. So hopefully you guys can bear with us while they adjust those temperatures and I don't look too insane. But I'm glad you guys are tuned in. I'm going to hop onto the YouTube Super Chat. I'm going to say I think we have 40,000 watching. So I'm totally guessing. It's not even loaded up. Let's see if I'm close at all. 37,543. I know you guys so well. I love it. 40,000 watching an hour before President Trump is scheduled to take the stage. It's incredible, remarkable. I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Again, we have an insane week ahead. I'm going to pull up that schedule as well so you guys can... I don't have that schedule. I can say it off the top of my head. So some of the boys, Magnificent will be in Bemidji, Minnesota tomorrow. And then I will be in Fayetteville, North Carolina on Saturday. Sunday will be a travel day. We will all be headed to Ohio. There are going to be 2 rallies in Ohio, one at 4:30 p.m. and one at 7 p.m. So we'll be covering both of those. And then we split up, and some people are going to Moon Township, Pennsylvania. For Tuesday. So we have a lot of rallies. This is going to be very expensive. This is why we're asking for you to continue supporting us. For the next 52 days, we're hoping to get to absolutely every rally. I mean, they all turn out to be huge. These crowds are phenomenal. And you can see behind me, like, this is something that just people need to see. It's remarkable. It's beautiful. And people are very energized and proud of their president and what he has done for them since taking office. So it's been really neat to be able to see it in person, and we want to be able to bring it to you guys so you can see it as close to in person as possible. Jumping into the... Right now, it looks like we had some donations coming in during the pre-speakers, so I want to say thanks to that. We had Casa de Carreno, 4 more years, and Let's Get Kyle Rittenhouse Out of Jail. $50 from David Russell, who said, God bless America and our POTUS. Donald J. Trump. $45 from Damn Yankee. And $100 from Foxy B, who said, we all worked hard to make America great, and now is not the time to stop making America great. We have 45 from Kay McClay, who said, Trump 2020, baby. And $99.99 from Jerry Hull, who said, go RSBN MAGA 22. Where's Joe Biden? He's in his basement. Let me know if you guys have questions. Of course, we've already had the pre-speakers, the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, and now we are just waiting for Air Force One's arrival, which is one of my favorite things to see. So I am going to be anxiously waiting for it. Actually, I'm going to check right now, see if we have any updates. President Trump did tweet earlier. Let's see if I have that. President Trump tweeted earlier and said, on Air Force One headed to Wisconsin, Biden refused to go there to apologize for not showing up for the failed Democrat convention. So funny to watch the fake news fawning over Sleepy Joe's ridiculous car press conference. Pathetic. End quote by President Trump. So always good to have him on Twitter. A very entertaining man. I suppose that's why he has 59 million followers. Let's check and see if we've gotten anything else. Other than that, we can expect Air Force One touchdown. Oh, the Dawn is still on Twitter, so we'll read some updates, see what's going on. We love the way that we can just really get the news straight to the American people with him. 2 minutes ago, ABC News posted that Ray adds that investigations into violent anarchist extremists who self-identify with the Antifa movement are just one part of investigations into domestic terror, which also includes radically motivated violent extremists, the militia types, and others. The tweet goes on. President Trump quote tweeted it and said, and I look at them as a bunch of well-funded anarchists and thugs who are protected because the Comey-Mueller-inspired FBI is simply unable or unwilling to find their funding source and allows them to get away with murder. Law and order, something that President Trump has said multiple times. It's a big part of his re-election campaign, law and order. He's been using that rhetoric, and it seems to be very appealing to a lot of people now more than ever based on some of the rioting and looting that has just gone on all over our country. I'm going to check for the website donations here, so we can say thank you to those who have donated to RSBN via our website. Looks like we have Tylo Parker, who said, praying daily for President Trump in this great country. Thank you, RSBN, for what you are doing. Happy birthday, Mom. Oh, very sweet. Nana of 11 said something as well. We're going to pass it over to Joe from headquarters. He would like to talk. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Liz. I wanted to address something really quick. I'm hearing a lot of nonsense from people complaining about the audio stream that we had for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. We have a new cameraman working today. We're a really small company, and so I don't have the money to be hiring, cameramen from Fox News, things like that. So he's learning as he goes. It's not like that anyone else even aired the National Anthem. If you could find Fox News airing that, then, you can't. There's no one else that's there that goes live as early as we do. So anybody saying that we messed up the National Anthem or whatever, we're the only ones that consistently even show the National Anthem. Our cameraman tonight is new, and he had the camera on a wrong setting, and we've corrected that, so the audio won't be a problem going forward. But if you're mad about the National Anthem sounding a little bit too loud on our stream, then please leave our stream right now and go to another stream. I don't want to hear complaints on here tonight. We have been doing this for 5 years. We make very little money doing it, if any at all. And so, we just want positivity in here tonight. So if you have a problem with 5 seconds of an audio mistake, then please go somewhere else and watch this, if you can even find anybody else that is live right now. So thanks, appreciate it. We are live here tonight in the great state of Wisconsin, and tomorrow we'll be in Minnesota. We have 5 rallies in the next 6 days, so it's going to be crazy. We got Mike Nificent, who is going to be in Bemidji, Minnesota tomorrow night. We then have a rally on Saturday in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where we have a new correspondent coming in. Grace Saldana will be with Liz Willis. So that'll be fun to see on Saturday in North Carolina. We get a day off Sunday before heading to... We get a day off Sunday before heading to Ohio on Monday for 2 events. And then we're going to Pennsylvania on Tuesday. So it's going to get crazy. We warned you this was going to happen. We'll have 1-2 per day before you know it. So that's why we're asking for support. We don't like asking for it, but everybody wants us to go. Everybody wants to see these things, but we chose to be viewer supported. So that's how we operate here at Right Side Broadcasting. So thank y'all for tuning in. Share the broadcast. Let's get the streams up. We had some really good numbers in Nevada. We were up over 100,000 watching. So let's get as many in as possible tonight. We're going to send it back to Liz in just a second. Enjoy the sights and the sounds on the ground in Mosinee, Wisconsin.
everyone. Welcome back. Before we jump into those who have donated and want to say thank you to them, we do have a quick word from our sponsors over at Patriot Mobile. So if you haven't already checked out their website, I really encourage you to do so. They have great options for cellular data and phones. So there's a lot of options you can do there. You can bring your own phone, you can get a phone from them, but it is a great alternative to some of the mainstream carriers. As you've seen on the news lately, there are always shocking videos of anarchists threatening innocent people, destroying businesses, and even shooting at the police. This anarchy continues because money to them is somehow continuing to get flowed in. Much of this actually comes from large corporations like Verizon. Did you know that Verizon donated $10 million to a myriad of social justice organizations, including Al Sharpton's National Action Network? Patriot Mobile wants you to know that you have a choice in this, and the decision should be clear. Get the same reliable nationwide service and support a company that loves America, shares your values, and supports our police. Switching is easy. All you have to do, you can keep your own phone. You can bring your phone, or you can get a new one. Whatever you want to do. Go to patriotmobile.com/RSBN. Again, that's patriotmobile.com/RSBN. Veterans and first responders actually get an extra discount, so make sure when you call their number, and if you want to talk to their U.S.-based customer service team, that's 972-PATRIOT. Make sure that you let them know what you do so that you can get even more of a great deal. Check all of it out at patriotmobile.com/RSBN or call 972-PATRIOT. It's free. Just call, check, get an idea of a quote, what your plan would be. You guys will not regret this. Their phone service is incredible. So thank you for those who are checking that out right now. Let me know what you think of it. My DMs are open. You can message me on Instagram at Liz Willis or on Twitter at Liz Willis _. I always want to know what you think about these products and companies. We work very hard to vet them, and we love to see the enthusiasm and the excitement that you guys feel when you see a new company like this that aligns with your conservative beliefs. It looks like we have a lot more donations coming through. So it looks like we have Trump with Trumpson. I guess that's a play on Wisconsin. Cute. Pascal ND. We have Kat, who donated. Jim Nick said, let's keep America great. Mary McDonald said, thanks, RSB. And I watch all Trump rallies. Thanks to you, Trump 2020. Jenny Corsorin donated and said, thanks to Right Side for providing broadcast coverage. God bless you, our president, and the United States of America. Andy Mooney said, you guys are so great. Love you all. John Skoronek said, thank you for RSBN 4 more years. God bless America. We have Alice who said, thank you, RSBN. Chip is with a few friends showing their American pride for Donald J. Trump. Yes, your national anthem was fine. No complaints here. We have MGASR who said, time to dominate. We have Lily who said, new immigrants for Trump. Your broadcast is incredible. Keep up the great work. We want to say thank you to you and your team. God bless America. Thank you very much, Lily. Holly Bean said, because you told the complainers to go pound sand, here's my donation. Shelly Green said, thank you for all you do to bring us truth and our POTUS. I commented on God being left out of the pledge, but blame you to him, not your new cameraman. Greg and Bozeman said, thanks for the great work, Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm really grateful. Fran Bogan said, thanks so much for your coverage. Please donate to them. I love Trump. Betty and Steve Maddox said, we love our president. RSBN, keep up the great work, and God bless you and President Trump. Bruce Walden said, thank you for all the hard work you do to support our great president. Michael Higgins said, make America safe again 4 more years. Allison said, we're saving America. So blessed to be on the right side of history. And finally, we have one from Debbie who said, go Trump from Ohio. Awesome. Glad we got to catch up on all of those right now. You're seeing a lot of support out there. I am jealous of everyone standing together so closely. I want the body heat and the warmth right now. I'm freezing. Still excited to be here, don't get me wrong, but it's chilly. I came from Atlanta and I'm not used to this. Let's see if we have any questions on Twitter. Thank you to Frank McArdle for your sweet comment. Very kind of you. I want to say hi to Norway for Trump and my friends over in France. Français. For the French for Trump team. And thank you. We have one from someone else who said, thank you, RSBN, for doing an amazing job for such a noble cause. So a lot of really appreciative people out there today. We are thankful to have you and thankful that you tune in and choose us to watch President Trump's rallies. We can expect President Trump to take the stage in T-minus 40 minutes. So super exciting. the YouTube super chat. Let's see how many people we have watching in there at this point. 41,000 people. We'd love to see it. So thank you for everyone tuning into the YouTube super chat. Again, we are just a small network called Right Side Broadcasting Network. We are based out of Auburn, Alabama. It is a very, very small group right now. We need more and more people every day, but we try to stretch it and make it work with what we have. Keep in mind, we are all almost entirely viewer funded, so we do rely on your donations to get going from rally to rally in different locations. Some of the biggest fees that we run into are travel expenses, hotels, flights, rental cars, of course paying our staff, and then having enough camera equipment and live units to get out there and broadcast this. So it is very expensive, it all adds up, and this is just the beginning. I think this week alone there's roughly 6 rallies in the next week, so it's absolutely insane. But we are going to give it everything we have, even if it means we don't sleep for the next 2 months. We know that this election is going to be the most important of my lifetime, and for many of you, it will be the same. So hopefully you guys will help us. There's a number of ways you can donate. The first one is by clicking the $ in the bottom right-hand corner of the YouTube Super Chat. It's the same chat that a lot of you messaged with me in and talked to me. So there's just a $ in the bottom of that. It's very easy to use. Your name will come up highlighted. It's a lot of fun. The second way is by going to our website. That's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. Again, that's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. The third way, and this is a lot of fun, people like it because they don't trust the internet, which is fine, but you can send a check the non-electronic way to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. A lot of people like to write notes with those as well, so just know that we do read them. Okay. So we are going to toss it back to headquarters another time, so bear with me, and I will see you guys in just a moment.
Thanks, Liz. Just really quick, we're going to play a message from a couple good friends of ours here in just a minute. But I wanted to let everybody know, if you're not familiar with how RSBN started, I know that there were some complaints earlier. The beauty of this company is that we are a bunch of media outsiders. We figured out how to do this. I started this company in 2015. Just a guy sitting at home who saw President Trump, then candidate Trump, being treated unfairly by mainstream media and decided to send a camera out to see what would happen. We got 1 million views on our first video, and after that we've been to every single one of them. So everybody that I hire here, we're not Fox News, we're not mainstream media, so we're just kind of learning as we go. And we've learned, and you can tell our broadcast quality has improved, but we're still not seasoned veterans. So for the mistakes that we do make, you have to understand that it's not intentional. Sometimes there's an audio issue here or there, but it certainly is a lot better than it was back in 2016. So we're doing the best we can here. We're out here fighting for you. As I said before, we are live at these things before any other media outlet is live. And a lot of the channels that you see on YouTube, most of those people are not even at these events. There are a couple that come to mind. I'm not going to mention their names, but most of those people aren't there with their own cameras. They steal the feeds or they use other people's feeds. We create everything here is all original. You try going to one of these things and getting a signal as great as this one is out without a satellite truck. It's very difficult, but we have figured out how to do it here. We have done, I think, a very good job with what we have, and so we hope that you enjoy seeing the entire program from the beginning to the end, and that's just what we do here. We would love to continue to interview people like we used to, but they don't allow us to do that anymore at most of these events because of the China virus and all that, so we're just not allowed to do the interviews. So but we're going to continue to show you the crowds. We're going to continue to show you everything and try to make you feel like that you're actually here without actually being there, to experience what a Trump rally is actually like. So I appreciate my crew. They work very hard, and I'm not able to pay them very much, but they are doing a really good job, and they're doing it because they love their country, and that's why I'm doing it. We are spending a lot of time away from our families. We are putting everything we have into this because we do believe we make a difference. In 2016, we had 350 million views on our videos. we made a difference in 2016. I know that because I worked closely with people inside the Trump campaign. I know that our message, our videos got out and we made a difference. And we hope to do the same this year. And that's why we need your help. So if you can donate to us and help our travel fund, we are almost 100% viewer supported. We don't take on investors. We don't have, sponsors giving us huge amounts of money. So that's why we ask. If you want to help us get to all these upcoming events, the best way to do it is on our website, rsbnetwork.com/donate, or you can donate in the Super Chat on YouTube. I appreciate your support. Share our broadcast. We love all of you. We thank you for hanging in there with us and for being loyal supporters over the years. I'm going to play a video now from two of our very close friends, Diamond and Silk, who have a new book out. If you haven't bought it yet, you really should, because I'm working on it right now. I don't have a whole lot of free time, but I'm glued to it. So you should check it out. It's amazing. So we're going to turn it over to them really quick, and then we'll be back to Wisconsin.
Hey y'all, we're Diamond and Silk. Listen, our book dropped already, and we want you to get a copy of it.
That's right.
Uprising, who the hell said you can't ditch and switch? The Awakening of Diamond and Silk.
That's right.
Now you can get the book at diamondandsilkbook.com or anywhere that books are sold. And I want you to continue to support RSBN.
That's right.
Why? Because they've been here since the beginning. And they will be here to the very end.
That's right.
And guess what, y'all?
What?
We gonna win.
That's right.
You all get out and vote. Vote red, R-E-D, remove every Democrat. And make sure you vote for Donald J. Trump. We love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Hi friends, I'm Father Frank Pavone of Priests for Life, and I thank our friends at Right Side Broadcasting for the great job they do bringing you these rallies. You know, when the president has these rallies, he summarizes his accomplishments. We have a website called prolifepresident.com where you can read those accomplishments in detail, not only on pro-life, but on every issue. I invite you to join us there. You can also order a comparison piece of the party platforms and some prayer cards for the election. So thanks, and again, God bless Right Side Broadcasting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. Hopefully you enjoyed those words. We are almost exactly 30 minutes shy of President Trump landing here in Mosinee, Wisconsin, here at the Central Wisconsin Airport. We are at capacity here. It is very cold, but we are excited to see President Trump. Wisconsin was a very narrow victory for President Trump in 2016, and he's made a few stops here recently, more recently to Kenosha and now to Mosinee. You can expect him to come back a few more times before the actual election. He is a very strategic campaigner and wants to make sure that no state gets left behind or forgotten. So we can expect to be up here a little bit more in the next few weeks, and I will be sure to bring a bigger jacket next time. We have about 30 minutes left, and I'm getting a lot of questions about Patriot Mobile. So we'll talk about them a few more times before President Trump comes out. And we really want to make sure you guys listen. This is an incredible company, great to work with. We've worked with them before. RSBN has used their phones. Their phones have actually saved our broadcast. So we've been here at points where our phones don't even work. We couldn't even get text messages out to headquarters. We actually had to pull up our Patriot Mobile phones and use them to contact headquarters regarding our production. So personally, we can speak on behalf of it. We are very thankful for Patriot Mobile. And something they want you to know is something that I actually didn't know. What we do know is that we are always seeing shocking videos of anarchists threatening innocent people, destroying businesses, rioting, looting, and even more recently, shooting police, sometimes in the face. This anarchy continues because the money keeps flowing in from them. Some people want to know, where's the money coming from? But much of it actually comes from big corporations like Verizon. Did you know Verizon donated $10 million to a myriad of social justice organizations, including Al Sharpton's National Action Network? Patriot Mobile wants you to know that you have a choice when you're deciding your carrier. You can get the same reliable nationwide service and support a company that loves America, shares your values, and supports our police. Switching is easy. You can keep your phone number, bring your own phone, or simply buy a new one. Go to patriotmobile.com/RSBN and get free activation plus a special gift when you use the offer code RSBN, or call the U.S.-based customer service team at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Veterans and first responders save even more, so check them out right now. Give them a call, get a quote for what your plan would be. Make sure you tell them if you are a veteran or a first responder. That's patriotmobile.com/RSBN. Again, patriotmobile.com/RSBN, or call 972-PATRIOT. That's PATRIOT. Incredible company. Highly encourage all of you to check them out. It's so important now more than ever to be conscious consumers, not to just buy a nice product, but to know who owns that product, where your money is going, and whether or not you want that money to, in turn, be spent paying off rioters and looters and anarchists. I mean, I for sure don't. So I'm going to be checking out Patriot Mobile as soon as I can, because Verizon doesn't need my money if that's where they're going to send it. It's ridiculous. But thank you again for those who have tuned in. I'm going to hop into the YouTube Super Chat now, so if you have any questions, please let me know. I'd love to get to know some of you better. You're going to see a lot more of me in the next coming weeks. I plan to go to as many rallies as I physically can. So knock on wood that we stay healthy and happy, and that we have as much energy as our incredible president. All right, it is loading up here. Looks like we have 43,000 watching. So thank you to everyone. Quick reminder, I want to make sure that you guys hop on over, whether it be Facebook. Make sure you're like us on Facebook. That's at Right Side Broadcast Network. We are also trying to grow on all social media platforms. It is very difficult as a conservative media network to grow and to kind of go against the algorithm that is set in place to essentially shadow ban us. So your support, your commenting, liking, following, it really does help us astronomically. So make sure that you are subscribed to us on YouTube. Click the bell button right underneath this video feed that you're watching right now. Comment. All types of different interactions are what's going to help us hopefully pop up on more people's Explore pages. We know that we don't come up under the search, but one day, if we all work hard together, maybe they'll quit silencing conservative voices. We have $4.99 from Kim Ray, who said thank you. $5 from Keith McLeod, who said hi, Liz, from Parade Driver, aka Pepe. Hi, I could never forget you. We have $50 Australian from Australia for POTUS Trump. Where we go one, we go all. Trump 2020. $10 from Mujaku, so thank you. $49.99 from B. Lee, who said, hello, everyone. I love our president and RSBN. We also have Renee Ramos, who became a new member today, and as well as Bob Johns. So thank both of you for joining us here at Right Side Broadcasting and our membership. Deanna Kohut said, Trump Pence landslide 2020. Great job, President Trump. Your donations are killing it. Make sure if you want to shout out, go ahead and get your donations in, and I will be reading all of them. We have Arla Terra, who donated $20 and sent a cute emoji. And Elisa Hernandez, who donated $49.99 and said, praying every day for the re-election of President Trump and Vice President Pence for their re-election on November 3rd, 2020, and for the Republican Party to take back the House of Representatives and maintain the supermajority of the Senate. We have $20 from Derek C., who said, keep up the good work, RSB, and don't worry about making mistakes. Even the mainstream people do it. S blank 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 blank. That was an extra blank, whatever. Happens. Camera person doing a good job too. Trump really won the election. These are victory rallies. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a landslide. Beautiful Bliss donated $20 again. And Charles Falgout donated and said thank you, RSBN. $49.99 from Ralph Foley and $50 from CAS, who said, love you guys. Thanks for your network. I hope all MSM gets replaced. You are all fabulous. Trump 2020, 12 more years. 99 from Jay Lacey, who said, great job, Joe Seals, cooling the herd. You're not too bad. You're not too bad for an Auburn guy coming from an LSU fan. Y'all keep up the great work all the way to the finish line. 4 more years. $49.99 from Jamie Arroyo, who said, God bless Trump 2020. And Iron Man donated $49.99. He said, right side rocks. Audio is great. We have a $500 donation from corepins.com. That's corepins.com. Who said, everyone support this channel. Match me with Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let them show we care. I'm going to have to check that website out again. So thank you. That was corepins.com, corepins.com. Thank you for your $500 donation. That's going to go a long way in helping us get to some of these rallies coming up. Raymond Noble became a new member, so thank you for that. We have Wayne Mitnick, who donated $10. Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, I would guess I'd say there's maybe 2,000 people here. I just read someone says 1,000, but I would err on the side of closer to 2,000. I'm really bad with guessing numbers, though, so you guys let me know what y'all think. I'll count them during the speech and let you guys know. LV Nichols said, thank you for sharing this rally. Awesome, absolutely. So if you guys don't know what's going on, this is Right Side Broadcasting Network. We live stream all of President Trump's rallies anywhere within the continental United States. Hopefully we can go to Hawaii sometime. I'm up for it. I don't think we will be. But like I said, we do live stream all of President Trump's rallies. So what you're seeing right now, we are just 20 minutes shy of Air Force One landing and President Trump disembarking and walking straight up to the stage and beginning his speech here in Mosinee, Wisconsin. This is a campaign rally type event. He'll be giving remarks and really just out here campaigning for Wisconsin and trying to encourage some of these constituents to get out and vote on November 3rd. Any more donations? It looks like Helen Huang donated $19.99. So thank you. We have Jeff Merriman, who has just joined us. So thank you. Thank you to our moderators for working extra hard today. You guys have been wonderful. All right. Alex is in school, but we might be able to have him at the Ohio rally. So excited for that. The Pennsylvania rally. So that'll be on Tuesday coming up. Hopefully you will be able to see him there. $19.99 from Leander Yoder. Thank you. And $4.99 from Hello to the Mad Lads. All right. I am going to take a break and just get some water. So we'll probably toss it back to headquarters. I'll come back and then I'll lead you guys all the way to President Trump's arrival. Stay tuned, sit by, and don't go anywhere.
Okay, so we're about 20 minutes or so away from President Trump here in Mosinee, Wisconsin. I'm Joe Seals back here at the RSBN studio. I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who's tuning in right now. And also, I noticed a lot of complaints in the chat tonight about some of the staff here at RSBN, and that's really cruel. And I really would appreciate if you guys would stop doing it. If not, you don't have to watch our stream. We've been working really hard for the last 4 years for President Trump. All these people that work here are patriots. Okay, they put their they haven't been home in a while. They're probably not going to be home very much between now and November 3rd. And as I said before, I'm not able to pay them very much at all. And I really want everybody to think twice before complaining about any of the crew, because they're doing their best. And as I said before, we are not seasoned media veterans here. We're just regular people, all right, doing the best we can for our country and for our president. And so it hurts to see comments like that. If you don't like it, then go watch the fake news. There's plenty of that out there. They might not show you as much as we do, but they'll show you the podium the entire time. You can watch the fake news, or you can go watch one of the channels that steals from the fake news. But we're the real deal here. So we're doing the best we can, and we're very proud of the work that we do. And I appreciate my staff more than you know. They're patriots, and I love each of them for their hard work and for the dedication and loyalty that they've shown this company over the last 4 years. So if you don't like it, don't watch it, or turn the volume down, or whatever it is. But please stop complaining about my crew. And I want to thank all of you for everything, the supporters, the moderators, everybody who's stuck with us over the last 4 years. We are in this to the end, and hopefully we have 4 more years of this, and we can continue to help President Trump bypass the mainstream media and keep America great, make America great again, all that stuff. This man is under assault from every angle, and he has got so much energy, and you're about to see the difference between Sleepy Joe Biden and President Trump over the next 7 weeks, and the energy. Try to compare the two. There's no comparison, believe me. But again, thank you all. President Trump will be out shortly. I just wanted to say that. God bless you all, and we'll see you back here tomorrow from Bemidji, Minnesota. Liz Willis will be back on in just a second.
Party is the party of kindness. We want to make sure that everything is fun, clean, and family friendly. Let's all just, I sound like a kindergarten teacher and I shouldn't have to, but let's all just remember to freaking be nice to each other. It's that simple. My parents always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So it's a motto I have learned to live by. It's a pretty good one. We have 44,000 people watching. We are 15 minutes out from President Trump taking the stage behind us here at the CWA, that is Central Wisconsin Airport. It's in Mosinee or Wausau, Wisconsin. Lots of really interesting street names around here. I guess it's a Wisconsin thing. We have a lot of donations pouring in, so I want to make sure I get all of those read out loud before President Trump takes the stage. We have $9.99 from Tim Melander, who said, RSBN Network, great work, God bless, vote in person. $19.99 from Leander Yoder. And Helen Huang donated as well. Thank you, Helen. $50 Australian, who said Australia for POTUS and Trump. $49.99 from B. Lee. So thank you for those who have donated. Looks like we have some more coming in right now. If any of you are familiar with restaurants around here that are open late and have cheese from Wisconsin, we want to try that before we leave. So let me know if you have any recommendations. Yes, Brian White Thank you for being here today. We have a new member, M. Darrowell, so thank you for joining RSBN's YouTube membership. Melody Jordan said, right side is the best. Thank you. We try to be good people. Thank you, Paul. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in and donating and just helping us prepare to campaign harder than we have ever done in my life. I'm so excited. I am so honored to be able to be here with Right Side and have the opportunity to see President Trump just fight so hard for the American people and use every ounce of energy he has to travel the country and really energize the crowd to get out and vote. It's one thing to think you have it, but we saw in 2016 you can't just assume you have a state. You have to get out there and see the people and energize them, encourage them, let them know how important their vote is. Because in some situations it can come down to 1,000 votes. It's absolutely insane. Oh, it looks like Bridget Seals is watching. Shout out to my girl Bridget. So thank you. We have Daniel Paul who donated $20. Thank you for your donation. Aiden Portillo, $5 Canadian. We use these donations also on equipment, and I am requesting stronger lights. I need better lighting. So you guys donate money, and if you want to help me out, put that you want to use it on lighting, and that way Joe cannot say no to me. We're gonna have some of the brightest lights. You'll see us from Air Force One. Brent Whiten said welcome, or became a new member, so thank you. Skate 14 Park said, Matt and Zach in Pennsylvania would like to say thanks, RSBN, for the great coverage of the rallies. Trump 2020, where we go one, we go all. So thank you very much. Chrissy Millar said, I love RSBN. Beautiful Bliss said, it does look cold out there. I hate the cold. I hate the cold too. I just want it to be somewhere in between. Like earlier today it was beautiful, but when the sun went down, I regretted every decision I made regarding my outfit. It's very cold. I'm reading all your comments right now, scrolling through. Alice Antonelli became a new member, so thank you, Alice, for supporting Right Side Broadcasting Network. One more time, I want to talk to you guys about Patriot Mobile. I'm getting so many messages on Twitter that they're checking out the website. I love to hear it. It's so important, not just to support us, but we want other people to support businesses. It's going to show you eventually that you can't act crazy. You can't support the alt-left and think that we're just supposed to sit back and be little sheep, following the herd. But we're starting to realize there are other alternatives. There's other alternatives to news now because we had to find them. Now there's other alternatives to cell phone carriers and large networks. I mean, every day we're seeing more and more shocking videos of anarchists threatening innocent people, destroying businesses, and even shooting the police. This anarchy continues because money is flowing in, mainly from big corporations like Verizon. Did you know Verizon donated $10 million to a myriad of social justice organizations, including Al Sharpton's National Action Network? Patriot Mobile wants you to know that you have a choice in this. You can get the same reliable nationwide service and support a company that loves America, shares your values, and supports the police. Switching is easy. Keep your phone number, bring your own phone, or buy a new one. Go to patriotmobile.com/RSBN and get free activation plus a special gift offer when you use code RSBN. Or call their, this is the best part, U.S.-based customer service team at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Veterans and first responders save even more, so check them out right now. Make sure you mention that so you can get a quote on a service plan. Check them out. It's patriotmobile.com/RSBN, patriotmobile.com/RSBN, or call 972-PATRIOT. You guys, seriously, check them out. They have been incredible. There are other options out there, and it's just important that we find them and that we show them our support. Hopping back into the YouTube Super Chat. If you have questions about anything I just said, let me know. I am happy to answer some of them. It looks like we have a few new members and donations. Graham Cracker 888 said, we love RSBN. It's probably trolls being disruptive. God bless RSBN and all patriots. PNW Militia said, Joe Biden is a walking meme. I love it. He really is. a new member, Miss Cordell. So thank you, as well as Jason Gregory. 47,000 people are watching right now. You are tuning in at the best time because we're only 8 minutes shy of President Trump taking the stage here in Mosinee, Wisconsin. President Trump did tweet earlier today about coming to Wisconsin and boarding Air Force One. He said, on Air Force One heading to Wisconsin, Biden refused to go there to apologize for not showing up for the failed Democrat convention. So funny to watch the fake news fawning over Sleepy Joe's ridiculous, quote, car press conference, end quote. Pathetic, exclamation point, was Trump's tweet. So he is definitely fired up today, feeling great, it seems like, and we're excited to see him here. Let me check out this schedule really quick, his updated schedule, so I can know exactly what time Air Force One was supposed to land. Joint Base Andrews. Okay, he was supposed to arrive at 7:50, so it's 7:53. So we really should be expecting to see Air Force One come down from these dark skies absolutely any minute now. I'm very excited. It's pretty glorious to see it in its entirety. It's one of my favorite things about being able to work is have this front row view to history, and something that we really pride ourselves on is being able to share that with the millions of people who watch Right Side Broadcasting Network. I do want to say thank you to everyone who's donated today. This is a non-conventional new media plan. I mean, nothing that we do is typical or goes by the book. So we are viewer donation based, meaning we rely almost entirely on donations to stay in business and to go to these rallies. So a lot of people ask, well, how can we support you guys? We notice that mainstream media doesn't cover it like you guys. They don't cover the whole thing. Sometimes they're not there at all. We want to make sure that you guys have President Trump's back and you can go to all of the rallies. So there's a number of ways you can donate. The first one is by clicking that $ in the bottom right-hand corner of the YouTube Super Chat. It's really easy. So that's the live chat. If you're already using it, there's just going to be a $ in the bottom right-hand. Click that. You'll be prompted to enter any amount, and you can also leave a message if you want. Have some fun with it. Another way is by going to our website. That's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. Again, that's www.rsbnetwork.com/donate. The third way is a non-electronic form. So if you're more fancy to pen and paper, grab your checkbook and make it out to Right Side Broadcasting Network at 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830.